Long since Marvel characters appeared on screen, a big complaint has been the lack of reality and the grittiness. Though Wolverine has been someone who's thankfully been away from this criticism, he's been adapted and envisioned by numerous writers and artists over the years. This has somehow left the fans divided on which iteration they prefer, which is why Marvel decided to combine all his fan-favorite traits into the Wolverine MAX series. Do you like a Wolverine that curses? A Wolverine that isn't afraid of blood or slaughter? A Wolverine whose heart yet isn't afraid to make the hard call? Do you love the claw-bearing, cigar-smoking, cowboy hat-wearing Canadian that strikes fear into the hearts of his foes around the globe? Then Wolverine MAX has it all. Let's jump into the story. Wolverine MAX Permanent Rage, Chapter 1. Who am I? Wolverine has been through a lot in his life, but he's never felt as lost as he does now. In a raging whirlwind of churning seas, the wreckage of a blown-up Boeing 747 thrashes about as Logan tries to get his bearings. But Logan doesn't know he is Logan, doesn't know how he got here, and doesn't even know where his impressive willpower and strength come from. You see, Logan has lost all his memories, no thanks to this crash. There are broken pieces of aircraft, strewn luggage, and hundreds of bodies all around him. And he? Well, he's struggling to stay afloat, desperately trying to hold on to floating debris as he's thrown about again and again by the raging waves. He's about to drown when his animalistic survival instincts kick in, and Logan desperately wades through the high seas until he manages to spot a large part of the aircraft's wing floating a mere few feet away from him. He sees all the bodies floating around him and realizes that everyone is dead, and as we see Logan struggle through the water, we realize his turmoil. Why the unkillable X-Man is struggling so hard. It's all because both of his legs have been blown clean off of his knees due to the crash, and he's gushing blood all around the area. When Logan finally reaches the wing, he spots another survivor, a young Japanese woman in an orange outfit, barely breathing and holding on for dear life. But as Logan tries to reach her, he realizes what the blood gushing from his legs means in these deep seas. It means sharks, and a large great white is headed straight for them. And before Logan can react, the young Japanese woman is snatched out of his arms and the great white bites her torso clean in half. In a fit of rage, Logan follows the shark underneath the water, and to his own surprise, his knuckles soon give way and draw blood, only to reveal 6 long, sharp, metallic claws. Before I continue, one request. If you like our content, please consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons. They may be 2 small clicks for you, but for us it means a lot and helps us in getting you these long reads. Now, let's continue. Without a second thought, Logan gives in to his body's instincts and starts slicing at the shark until it's nothing but a pile of guts and hundreds of pieces of flesh. He then surfaces, panting heavily as he finds a nearby piece of floating debris and passes out. Logan then gets flashbacks and snippets of his memories, thanks to his subconscious. The time when he was nothing but a pile of bones, living in the wild, covered from head to toe in hair, fighting wild beasts for survival. This is all he remembers. Killing through the ages he's lived. The time he used to fight in medieval times. The time he was ripping people to shreds using his bare hands back in the Civil War. His time killing in the Amazonian rainforests and then living as a tribal warlord. Among all these memories is a faint residue, a snippet of another memory. One where he makes love to a young Japanese woman passionately in modern times. Then, the killing begins again. Logan sees himself plow through men as though they're nothing but sheep, watches his blood-covered face being the only survivor in a saloon brawl, and the only surviving man urging him to keep heading west, to keep going west, because that's the only place he'll find peace. Logan then spots himself boarding a large ship, heading west, before he's snapped back to reality by rescue workers who have managed to find him. It's a miracle that Wolverine has survived, because none of the other passengers have, and when they tell this to Logan, he realizes that he's about to be a celebrity again. The tabloids. Logan still can't feel his legs. Despite the warm faces surrounding him, he can feel nothing but cold inside. Logan is then loaded into an emergency rescue helicopter, where he tries to desperately fight against the nurses that are trying to help him. They hold him down and then examine his legs. His severed legs have stopped bleeding. This is highly unusual because Logan never used a tourniquet. The staff then starts asking Logan basic questions that he should know in any condition. This entire conversation is taking place in the Japanese language, and though Logan might not realize it yet, it's highly unusual that he's speaking Japanese. The staff asks him questions. What is his name? Where was the plane headed? But Logan doesn't know either of these answers. One of the male staff members then rummages through Logan's pockets and finds his wallet. He's apparently posing or living as the real estate mogul John Grant in Japan. The emergency crew also ends up finding his passport, which then informs them all that Logan was headed to Los Angeles, USA. And although traveling or escaping to LA somehow makes sense to Logan, he's been feeling a never-ending feeling to get away since he came to his senses after the crash. He's been wanting to get away, wanting to be alone. The never-ending search for peace and quiet seems to have found him again. We then see the helicopter land in Tokyo. As Logan is dragged out of the helicopter in a stretcher, He's approached by Detective Nakano, who wants to ask him some questions. Despite the detective speaking in English, by now Logan has come to terms with the fact that he somehow knows how to speak in Japanese, which is why he decides to converse with the detective in Japanese. The detective asks Logan, in fact compels him to tell him anything and everything he knows about the crash, but sadly, Logan knows nothing. He remembers nothing, not even his real name. Logan then goes on to ask his own burning questions to Detective Nakano, questions that have been eating at him since he came to his own after the crash. How did the plane crash? What was he doing aboard the plane? But just like Logan, Detective Nakano is clueless. Anything could have happened aboard the plane, and they can only know more once the black box is discovered. Detective Nakano then goes on to ask the most burning question to Logan, a question that's not only been eating at him, but Logan's rescue crew, as well as the current hospital staff attending to him. He seems to have sprouted legs out of the blue, sprouted limbs seemingly like a lizard, something that humans seem incapable of doing, and Detective Nakano wants to know how Logan, or for him, Mr. John Grant, was able to do this. Logan, who's still unaware of his healing factor, simply tells Nakano that the rescue crew might have been mistaken. They might have misreported that Logan was missing his legs. But deep down in his heart, Logan knew. He knew that Nakano was right. He had deep down felt his limbs growing, felt his legs come to life out of the blue. We then see Nakano reluctantly leave Logan in the care of his men and a dedicated nurse. He tells Logan that he isn't suspected of anything, but being the only survivor, he's the only witness in this case, which is why he can't leave the country anytime soon. In fact, he'll be under police and medical observation until his memory returns. We see that 2 police officers are posted outside Logan's ward at all times, and only his dedicated nurse is allowed to attend to him. And as Logan goes to sleep tonight, we see Logan being termed as the Miracle Man by the media for being the sole survivor of the plane crash. We see that Logan has been questioning himself, questioning who he actually is. How can he have claws growing out of his knuckles? How can he grow back his limbs? Was this actually a plane crash, or was he somehow involved in it? As these questions plague Logan's mind, we see him drift into the realm of dreams, and this time he dreams of a time when Victor Creed found him when he was spending his time as a monk in Japan. Logan has shaved his head and beard. He's now a devoted monk, a monk who has given up violence, given up the temptations of daily life, and now spends his life devoted to peace. While Logan prays to an ancient tree in the monastery, a man, similarly aged as him, approaches from the background. He wears the attire of an American cowboy, and before Logan can gather his senses, the man hits Logan in the face and sends him flying into the tree that he was praying to. And while Logan gets to his feet, we see his muscles flex like a young man in his prime, despite his and the other old man's apparent age. When Logan asks the man who the hell he is and what has Logan done to deserve this, he gets an ominous reply that the man is his soulmate, and this is Logan's fate. The mysterious man then goes on to hit Logan again, and as he lies on the ground, the man tells Logan that it is fate, that this desire he feels deep inside him. This is also shared by Logan. Despite his facade of being a monk, Logan is just like him. He craves violence, craves the smell of blood and the rage to slaughter people. He tells Logan that he needs to embrace these cravings, embrace this destiny of his, come to terms with his fate, because the man is none other than Victor Creed. We then see that this is the first meeting between Victor and Logan, or for now, so it seems. Victor heard about Logan's doings in Canada and what he did back in Fraser Canyon, and it's then revealed that the dream Logan had about killing all the men in the saloon, that was Fraser Canyon, and Logan had killed 22 men. And when he was asked to head west, that's how he ended up in Japan. That's how Logan found his peace. That's how Logan became a monk. But now that Victor is here, pursuing Logan after the crimes he committed, Logan realizes that his peace was short-lived. Because Victor now believes that Logan is his soulmate, that the two of them are the same, joined by fate because of their long life and healing factor. Logan then gets to his feet and defiantly states that there is no one like him. And this only enrages Victor further, as he goes on to tell Logan that it's a shame that Logan is denying his fate and destiny. He never expected Logan to be so weak, and he'll now just have to demonstrate the truth to him. Ominously, the dream is then cut off, but we fans all know what must have happened. Victor must have fought Logan and attacked him till he was finally shut down by the Canadian Chupacabra to put an end to his rage. We now cut to the present and see that Logan has now woken up and already healed. He's incapacitated his guards and personal nurse and stuffed them in a nearby closet. To nobody but the Japanese authorities' surprise, Logan has escaped without making a sound. He then goes to a shady hotel in Tokyo and rents a room at thrice its cost because he has no ID. The receptionist happily hands him the key to a room, but we then see him spot Logan on the local news. Logan, being the sole survivor of the crash, is the talk of the town, and despite paying thrice the price of the room, it's a meager amount considering what the local channels will pay the man for Logan's current whereabouts. Logan, meanwhile, sits in his room catching up on the latest news when all hell breaks loose. He sees the local newscaster inform the people of the latest CCTV footage the police have discovered. The footage shows Logan boarding the plane alongside the young Japanese woman who was killed by a shark in the sea. Logan was with her. The two were together. What did this mean? Was she Logan's girlfriend? Did Logan just watch the love of his life get murdered by a shark? Is that why his body took over and tore the shark to pieces, despite him not remembering anything? And as Logan struggles with these questions, he sees the news now labels him as the prime suspect for the plane crash. The box was discovered, and it was found that the plane crashed due to a bomb blast, and Logan and the mysterious woman are now the prime suspects in the case. While Logan comes to terms with these thoughts and the latest developments, he fails to notice the large team of SAT outside his hotel room, ready to ambush him. Wolverine MAX Permanent Rage, Chapter 2. The Yashida Commitment. The SAT team outside Logan's apartment is about to attack, but Logan is quick on his feet. Before the team can invade his room, like an animal, Logan senses them coming and leaps out of the window. He doesn't remember, nor does he know where he gets these animal instincts, but he dares not question it while his life is at stake. Logan is baffled to realize that each of his senses is heightened. His nose can catch scents from hundreds of meters away, and he can hear what's happening inside buildings and roads that are a few blocks away. This makes Logan trust his body, and he lets it take over. Logan is now down in the back alley behind the hotel where he'd rented his room. He's been spotted by the SAT team by now, but Logan doesn't respond to their orders to stop moving. Instead, he lets his body unsheath his claws and use them to climb the wall in front of him. The SAT team then fires at him, and though the bullet hits him in the thigh, Logan has already sliced through the barbed wire and leapt over the wall as the SAT team member that shot him watches in horror. There's a familiarity in the look of horror on his face, for even the Japanese have heard the stories of the unkillable vigilante Wolverine, and what Logan just pulled seems a lot like his MO. Logan then runs through the city, away from the SAT team, and uses his instincts to steal a large trench coat and then blend in. Logan knows he needs to jog his memory, and right now, the only way to do so is to check the passport and wallet under the name John Grant that he managed to recover from the hospital before escaping. He finds the photo of the same girl who was eaten by the shark in the wallet, and he also finds tons of cards from the same restaurant, Roppongi. He decides to visit the restaurant, and soon is baffled to realize that he's been living under the name of Mr. Collinsworth in this place. He then learns the name of his supposed girlfriend who was eaten by a shark. Her name is Yami, and he learns this when the staff asks him about her. As Logan pretends to be his former self, he learns that he has tons of properties around Japan, and his ancestral home is supposedly in Kanagawa. Logan asks for a spare key and enters his room, only to be surprised by the lavish lifestyle he supposedly used to lead. Logan then remembers the night Yami and him made love, likely the last night before the crash happened. Suddenly, Logan's super hearing springs to life and he can hear police sirens miles away, steadily approaching his hotel. Logan begins packing emergency supplies when he suddenly spots a hidden safe behind his closet. Thinking that he'll finally find some answers, he uses his claws to tear it open, only to be confused even more. Inside the safe are more passports belonging to him under different identities, and the mystery only goes deeper as Logan begins to wonder who he was. What was his job? We then see Logan leave everything to fate, put on his favorite jacket and signature cowboy hat, and leave the hotel. We then see Logan board a train headed for Kanagawa, though he doesn't remember the trip. The scents and odors of the journey are oddly familiar to him. He then stares at Yami's only image in his position before going to sleep. And this time, Logan discovers more of his memories while he dreams. It's medieval Japan, and Logan, who's now a monk, is approached by a stunning young woman who's curious why a Canadian is studying as a monk in Japan. She seems to flirt with Logan when she catches him staring at her, and Logan confesses that he's never seen someone as beautiful as her. The woman introduces herself as Mariko and seems to like his advances. She then asks Logan to walk her home. As Logan walks her home, she confesses that she likes Logan too, but it's a shame that he's a monk and they can't take things further. She likes Logan's presence and his eyes. He seems to exude peace and tranquility for her. Once Logan is done, we see that he's approached by a handsome blonde young man, Victor Creed. Logan already knows Creed because Creed followed him all the way to Japan once he learned about the similarities between them. Creed then tells Logan that men like him and Creed are in high demand and that they can make big bucks because the entire country is going through a war. He then goes on to explain that the Yashida and the Shogunate clan are at war, and he's currently employed by one Machi Yako, a warlord who pays handsomely. Creed then paints the Yashida clan as one of rapists and murderers, justifying his hunt for them. He then goes on to ask Logan to join him because he needs the cash. especially if he's supposed to keep a woman like Mariko. Logan's eyes narrow with determination, and we can all assume what happened next. Back in the modern day, Logan has woken up and has now gotten down at the Kanagawa station. Logan watches the news and learns that the police have learned about his and Yami's identity from the CCTV footage they recovered from the airport. Logan then walks out into the city looking for any clues in the middle of the night when suddenly he smells a familiar scent coming from a nearby bar. Logan walks in only to find that he's face to face with the Yakuza. It seems his connections to Japan and Yami go deeper than he'd imagined. He shows Yami's photo to the bartender and asks for any information he might have about the owner, but Logan is soon apprehended by 3 thugs who are ready to beat the daylights out of him. But the men have made a grave mistake, because in an instant, Logan slices the faces of the 2 men holding him down and then pins the attacker's hand to the bar table using his claws. The man squeals like a pig and then tells the information Logan wanted. He gets the address to Yami's house. We see the bartender cowering in fear behind the bar as Logan walks out into the night. Logan then gets another flashback of the time when he joined forces with Creed to face off against the Yashida clan. The two discuss Logan's makeshift claws and why Creed chooses to use a sword for now. They then jump into battle, but when Logan makes his first attack and punches clean through a man's torso, he realizes the brutality he unleashes upon all these people. He then looks behind him and spots Creed brutalizing and dismembering enemy soldiers without a care for anyone or anything in the world. Logan is then stabbed through the chest with a sword, but he quickly takes care of the soldier and pulls the blade out of him with ease. Creed carries the dismembered head of an enemy soldier when he informs Logan that they'll be attacking the Shinjin monastery next. It's where the leader of the Yashida clan is hiding. Logan refuses, because inside all of them are his brothers. It's the monastery where he was studying, the place where he first met Mariko. Logan by now has reached Yami's household, but is only met with more resistance, as neither her brother nor her father want to disclose any details. Logan insists, and in his protests, Yami's brother ends up telling Logan that she's been estranged from her family for years. He then recognizes Logan and realizes he was with Yami in the plane crash. The two of them start arguing again, and the brother thinks Logan has crashed the plane. Logan, however, is desperate for any information because he doesn't remember anything, and that's when Yami's brother raises a good point. If Logan doesn't remember anything, then how can he be sure that he isn't responsible for the plane crash? Logan walks away into the night, wondering this same thing to himself when he comes across the gate of the monastery, the one where he used to study, the one where he fought against the Yashida clan alongside Creed. He then gets another flashback, remembers that all of this was 150 years ago, and they'd managed to get rid of the Yashida clan entirely back then. Questions keep flooding his brain with no answers in sight. As he continues to stare at the entrance, a quivering voice snaps him back to reality. It's the bloodied brother of Yami, and one of his eyes has popped out of his socket as he uses all his energy to inform Logan that he's coming. Creed is coming. Wolverine MAX Permanent Rage, Chapter 3, Killing in the Absence of Peace. Logan continues with his flashback of 150 years ago when he and Creed had infiltrated the monastery and Creed was slaughtering anyone around him because he'd sealed their escape route. We see the young Logan try to stop Creed from killing monks, but Creed slaughters yet another one under the reasoning that no one around them is innocent. Creed and Logan go head-to-toe with each other, their clash of ideologies personified by their clash in reality. Creed manages to land a final blow that staggers Logan as we learn that the two of them are supposed to deliver the Yashida's ancestral sword to the shogunates. Now that everything is done, only their leader remains, and he's ready to accept his fate and die with honor at the hands of Creed. But the crazed madman isn't about to let the Yashida leader enjoy this luxury. He'll die a dishonorable death. Creed beheads him with a single swing, then enjoys the taste of blood from his dismembered head. He offers Logan a swig, but Logan screams at him with rage in his voice to not push him further. He isn't like Creed. But this is the age-old battle between Wolverine and Sabretooth, and in his typical fashion, Creed tells Logan that he is just like him. Logan just doesn't know it yet. By now, they've set ablaze the entire monastery, which burns a bright yellow and orange color against the pitch-black darkness of the night. Back in the present day, Logan snaps back to reality as he holds Yami's dying brother. Yami's brother desperately tries to convince Logan that Creed is here and that he's coming for Logan. He also learns about 2 more clues. First, that the Yakuza are responsible for the plane crash, and second, the mysterious name of a club, Exotica. Yami's brother coughs blood and soon passes away, leaving Logan with more unanswered questions than he had in the first place. But thankfully, he now has a few leads. Logan finds the club by morning, and his suspicions are right. Exotica is a strip club, and maybe Yami danced here, or maybe he met her in this place. Either way, he needs to get in without making a scene, which is why he bribes the bouncer manning the front door. And although Logan was hoping that the large man, who's likely a sumo by day, might have seen Yami, things turned out to be otherwise. As Logan heads inside, he remembers the scent. There's something vaguely familiar about it. An exotic dancer then approaches him, offering a private dance, but Logan then soon spots someone taking his pictures with the dancer. When Logan confronts him, he's soon surrounded by Yakuza members who pressure him into following them. Logan complies because he doesn't want to create a scene until he has the answers he's looking for. The Yakuza boss, on the other hand, isn't interested in answering Logan's questions. And frankly, he seems to know nothing because he's just hell-bent on witnessing Logan's claws for himself. He seems to be a Wolverine fanatic, a vigilante who's been missing for 20 years and presumed dead. But when the local boss heard reports of Logan and his claws from Tokyo and Kanagawa, he had to see them for himself. Logan tries to reason with the man, but the local Yakuza boss is too agitated by Logan's disrespectful nature. He pulls out his revolver and demands to see Logan's claws. Logan doesn't comply at first, and the boss is sure that this is just some Canadian punk. The Yakuza boss opens fire on Logan. That's when all hell breaks loose. The boss wants to see Logan's claws, and so he does. Logan thrusts his claws right through the boss's chin and out of his eyes. He then makes quick work of the rest of the guys, including the bouncer manning the gate. And though he seems to have been shot all over his body, Logan doesn't seem to care. And he's gone into one of his animalistic Berserker rages as he then approaches to slaughter the innocent strip club workers after taking care of the Yakuza members. It's only when a dancer begs for him not to kill her that Logan stops, because he's remembering his time with Mariko, the first time they slept with each other. The two are finishing up when one of Mariko's servants walks in and informs her that her father has been killed. When Mariko learns that her father was slaughtered dishonorably, she's shocked and disheartened. Depression takes over when she learns that her ancestral sword has also been stolen by a monster that people report can heal from any wound. Logan hears all this and knows that this is Creed's doing, and he'll now have to take action. He never knew Mariko was Mariko Yashida, the princess of the Yashida clan. Another betrayal at the hands of Creed. The two of them talk about Mariko's heritage, and Mariko urges Logan to make love to her again as a form of her grievance. She wants revenge, and that's exactly what Logan promises her, exactly that. He promises to avenge her father and retrieve the Yashida clan sword. Mariko is confused at first. How can a peace-loving monk retrieve her father's sword? But the determination in Logan's eyes sways her, and she says that she believes in him. The two of them spend the night together with Mariko, having no clue of who Logan really is and how he's involved in his father's death. Back in the modern day, police have arrived at the Exotica, and the order to freeze snaps Logan back to reality. He leaves the exotic dancers alone and makes his daring escape while dodging bullets and flipping tables. Logan then gets cornered by the two policemen in a dead-end alley as he comes to terms with the memories he just witnessed. How much he loved Mariko, and how Creed betrayed him and made him betray the love of his life in return. As the two policemen advance on him and Logan bleeds from his head, he picks up a familiar scent. The next second, the two officers are brutally slaughtered, and we realize that Logan had picked up Sabretooth's scent, Creed's scent. They talk, and it's the same story. Creed telling Logan how much they're alike, and Logan desperately trying to distance himself from Sabretooth. When Creed realizes that Logan has forgotten everything, he laughs as he realizes that he now holds all the cards, because he's the only one that knows Logan's entire past, spanning hundreds of years. Creed slams Logan into a wall as he gloats about it, but then Logan gets flashes of his part that support Creed's claims that he's a born killer, that Logan enjoys killing and slaughtering people just as much as Creed. When Logan tries to resist in the present time, Creed throws Logan away and decides to spell it out for him. He tells Logan that he's the one responsible for the plane crash. He is the sole reason for the death of 375 people aboard that plane. Wolverine MAX, Permanent Rage, Chapter 4, Mind Games, Truth, and the Accursed Blade. We pick up where we left off, Creed towering over a bleeding Logan while he messes with his brain by telling Logan that he caused the plane crash. Creed then tells Logan that he works for the Yakuza, and though he could have picked anyone else to carry out this job, Logan begged him to let him do it, because he's a natural-born killer that takes pleasure in killing the innocent. Logan, in a fit of rage, leaps at Creed to hurt him, yelling at him that Creed is lying, but Logan right now is too injured. Creed simply grabs him by the face and slams him into a wall so hard that Logan passes out. He's back in the plane with Yami, and she's waking him up because the drink cart is approaching, and Logan was adamant to not miss it. We then realize that Yami knows about Logan's powers, and that she plays a game every now and then with him, where Logan tells her everything he can hear and smell. The pilots are talking about clubbing when they reach LA. He hears a couple joining the Mile High Club. He then hears a baby crying in economy class, and he also hears the couple being discovered by the crew and the rest of the passengers. Yami then snuggles up to him and tells him that it's okay that he can't love her because he was hurt in love once. She loves him equally. But then, Logan straightens up. He's picked up a scent of something dangerous. This flash of memory makes Logan doubt himself in the present day. Maybe Creed is right. Maybe he was the one that did blow up that airplane. We see that Logan is barely holding on, and Creed has dragged him to a nearby pond. Logan then tries to buy some time by asking Creed that if he is working for the Yakuza, then why didn't the Yakuza goons from Exotica recognize him? Creed then goes on to tell him that it's because he's a secret operative, employed by Creed, just like back in the day. The higher-ups, in this case the Yakuza, don't know about Logan's involvement. Logan has had enough time to recover, and he leaps at Creed and pins him down against the ground with his claws pressing Creed's face down. Creed laughs and tells Logan that he can slice him up all he wants, but just like Logan, Creed will heal and never leave Logan alone. It's the reason they're different from other people. It's the reason they are soulmates, according to Creed. He then taunts Logan a tad more by stating that it wasn't him who got his claws first. It was Logan who invented his claws as a weapon even before his skeleton was laced with adamantium. Because being like Creed wasn't enough for Logan, he wanted to be deadlier, more brutal. We see Logan remember his makeshift claws from back in the day, and this moment of weakness gives Creed enough time to continue with his mind games and headbutt Logan once he gets the opening. Creed breaks Logan's nose momentarily, and although he'd love to help Logan remember everything from his past, he's running out of time. He wants Logan to hand over the sword, Shinjin Yashida's sword, the one they stole from the clan leader hundreds of years ago. But like everything, Logan doesn't remember anything about the sword. He assumed that Creed must have had it, since he remembers Victor stealing it back in the day. Creed then beats up Logan, suspecting a double cross Logan inflicted on him all those years ago. A double cross Logan remembers nothing about. You see, Creed followed Logan to Yami Yashida's town, suspecting that Logan was trying to find the sword, unable to realize that Logan was here to get his memories back and maybe clear his name from the public eye. Creed then goes on to speculate that maybe Logan is double-crossing him again, because the Yashida clan can clearly pay more for the sword. He then goes on to remind Logan that Yami Yashida wouldn't be the first Yashida woman he betrayed. After all, he killed Mariko Yashida. Logan simply snapped one day. Logan screams that he loved Mariko, but Creed has had enough. He smacks Logan across the face and leaves gaping wounds in his cheeks. He then gives Logan an hour to recover the sword, threatening to kill and down a lot more than one airplane. This mention of Mariko triggers another flashback. The day he fulfilled his promise to her and got her father's sword back. Yami was horrified to see Logan when he came into the room, unaware that his broken and mangled arm was merely half an hour away from being its normal self. He hands Mariko the sword, and when Logan tells her that his arm will heal easily, Mariko realizes Logan isn't who she assumed to be. He isn't the peaceful and tranquil monk from Canada that she fell in love with. He is someone with a deep and haunting past. She then confronts Logan about what she's learned, that there were two foreigners and not one fighting on behalf of the shogunates. When Logan tries to apologize by placing his hand on Mariko's shoulder by saying he didn't know Shinjin Yashida was her father, Mariko quickly turns around and slaps Logan right in the face. Mariko then calls him a monster. This sends Logan in a fit of rage. He manhandles Mariko and holds her by the face, and this is when she says to go ahead and kill her too. After all, Logan will only prove that he's a monster. We see Logan's eyes sparkle and realize something before cutting back to the present day. Logan has healed from the wounds inflicted upon him by Creed. He's washing his face in the pond, and after this flashback, he's starting to believe what Creed said, that he indeed is the monster everyone claims him to be. Logan then walks back into town, wondering how he's supposed to find the sword within an hour as he wanders the streets of Kanagawa, desperately trying to jog his memory. And then, it finally happens when he walks across a shop selling funeral items. He then remembers the day he attended Mariko's funeral, how sad he was, and how, when he offered his condolences to the attending priest, the priest had sensed the good in him and had tried to console Logan himself because he looked more lost than ever. Logan remembers shedding a tear when the priest helped him restore faith in himself, when he called Logan a strong man with a kind soul. And the priest's last words, they offer him a much-needed clue. A present-day Mariko is buried in Yokohama. But before Logan can gather his bearings, he's spotted by a couple of police officers, and he soon has to flee the spot by jumping onto the back of a nearby truck. Hours later, Logan has reached the graveyard in Yokohama, and using his senses and familiar sense, he's soon able to locate Mariko's grave. Logan then hears a stick snap behind him, and this again triggers another memory, this time the memory of what happened right before the plane crashed with him and Yami inside. We see that Logan was able to use his senses to spot a sweating man who was about to trigger the explosives he smuggled onto the plane. But when Logan snatches his detonator away, the man asks his partner to do the deed, and Logan's eyes widen in horror as he realizes who the partner is. It's none other than Yami herself. We see Yami trigger the explosion without hesitation. The entire plane is engulfed in flames. Wolverine MAX, Permanent Rage, Chapter 5, Redeeming Truth. Logan is still at Mariko's grave, remembering how the crash tore his body and soul to pieces, and though his body has healed, The healing journey of his soul has only just begun. Logan apologizes to Mariko as he remembers that he didn't kill her that day, the day she slapped him, and yet he can't find a reason to have left Mariko behind. Then, instinctively, something dawns on Logan, and he begins digging at Mariko's grave using his hands. Logan digs from dawn till dusk using only his hands. He knows that leaving Mariko for whatever reason he did was a mistake, but he's sure that he must have kept his promise of preserving the legacy of the Yashidas. And when the moon is high, Logan finally finds what he's looking for. He takes out the Yashida clan sword and is content for once, knowing that he somehow managed to keep his promise to Mariko. His happiness, however, is short-lived when Creed steps out of the shadows demanding the sword. But Logan doesn't want to hand it over, neither to him or the Yakuza. Creed tells him that he's been telling Logan the truth, that he never said he killed Mariko on the night they fought. Logan killed her years later by sneaking into her room one night when she was asleep and then stabbing her directly through her heart. This is enough for Logan, and he's heard enough. He leaps and attacks Creed with ferocity, because he believes Creed is the reason he and Mariko drifted apart. It was he who betrayed Logan into killing Mariko's father and clan. But Creed soon gets back up and smacks Logan against a tree, saying that Logan still doesn't realize he is an innocent, but all the wealth he owns under the name of Mr. Collinsworth wasn't earned by working hard at a 9-to-5 job. As Logan groggily loses consciousness, he remembers the day Mariko was buried, how he attended the ritual and offered his condolences to Mariko's husband, how he was then stopped by her husband when he remembered what Mariko said about Logan, said that Logan was a good man. The man then pulls Logan aside and hands him the possession Mariko left him in her will, her father's sword. This sweet memory is a godsend for Logan in the present day, because now he knows that Mariko still loved him till the end of her life. He gets back up with renewed vigor and beats the hell out of Creed. He now knows he didn't kill Mariko, that he never blew that plane up. It was Yami who blew the plane up. Logan holds an injured Creed up by the hair, and then asks him the burning question with the Yashida sword pinned against his throat. Why did Yami Yashida blow up the plane? And the answer is quite simple. Yami wanted her family to do well and to stop working at Exotica, and this one job promised millions for her family. Of course, the Yakuza and Creed never planned to pay her once the plane was blown up, but that still went their way, because the Yashida sword was never on the plane in the first place. Logan realizes that Creed killed 375 people for nothing, but Creed has no regrets. As Logan leaves him bloodied on the ground, Creed tries to make things over with Logan by saying, "I didn't know Yami was involved with you. But then again, you've always been a sucker for Yashida girls for years." This triggers another memory for Logan, the one where he fought and recovered the Yashida sword from Creed. At the end of their fight, Logan used his claws to slash the right side of Creed's face, leaving a long-lasting scar, and although the scar should have healed long ago, it's still present on Creed's face. Logan has enough of his memories returned to not be gaslit by Creed anymore, and when Creed realizes this, he manages to stop Logan somehow and uses the Yashida sword to cut a huge gash in Logan's torso. Logan lies on top of Mariko's blade helpless as Creed decides to injure Logan brutally. He stabs Logan directly in the eye with the Yashida family blade. He then goes for the second eye, and within seconds, Logan is completely blind. Despite Logan having lost his eyesight, the Canadian Chupacabra is still more than capable of seeing everything around him thanks to his heightened senses. And as Logan fights and wins against Creed, he realizes why he's doing it. He's doing it for his love, for the love he has for Yami and Mariko. Slowly, as he wins the fight, Logan's vision also begins to get better. Logan's eyes fully grow back, and in front of him, Creed lies against a tree with his guts spilled out of his body. In a desperate attempt to keep his supposed soulmate from leaving him, Creed shows Logan how the scar that Logan gave him hasn't healed over all these years. It's because every hour, Creed uses his claws to scar his own face. But this only proves Creed's obsession with him to Logan. Logan decides to part ways and leaves with the sword before he has to converse more with Creed. We then see that Creed's capture by the Japanese police has sort of cleared Mr. Collinsworth, aka Logan's name. However, they've managed to link Creed and Yakuza to the plane bombing. Mr. Collinsworth is still wanted for questioning after playing a key part in Creed's capture and his supposed secret identity as the world-famous vigilante, Wolverine. We see Logan put on his iconic cowboy hat and jacket and then leave the country via boat. He's headed to Los Angeles, his initial destination before the plane crash. It should lead to more answers and if not at least some peace, because getting lost there in the crowd will be much easier. Logan, in order to keep his promise to Mariko and to prevent the Yashida blade from falling into the wrong hands, ties it to a couple of chains and throws it out into the middle of the sea. He then decides to write his past down in a diary in case he ends up losing his memory again, like this time in the future. In the first line, he writes, "My name is Logan, and I was once in love with a woman. Her name was Mariko." Wolverine MAX, The Protector, Chapter 1. Logan is now on Venice Beach, California, enjoying a hot and sunny day outside with his dog. He managed to find a stray German Shepherd, and he liked her as much as she liked him. The two took to each other instantly and had been together since Logan arrived in the country. Logan named her Dog to keep things simple, and today he's playing with her on the beach. Sadly, the ball he threw lands near a sunbathing woman, and in the excitement to retrieve the ball, Dog ends up spraying sand in the woman's eyes. It's a hot English woman who first snaps at Logan, but then quickly apologizes to him and Dog once she manages to get the sand out of her eyes. The two of them talk, and Logan lies to her that his name is Jack Douglas, and he used to work in law enforcement and is currently in between jobs. The woman introduces herself as Candice Cassidy, which Logan instinctively knows is a fake name. Candice works as a model, and since she's visiting strangers here for a few days of photo shoots, she asks Logan to drive her around and protect her. The timing couldn't have been more than perfect, because Logan was running out of the money he'd managed to smuggle out of London. Moreover, he didn't remember the passwords of his other identity, Mr. Collinsworth's accounts, and even if he did, Logan suspects that these accounts would have been frozen by the authorities by now. Logan then goes back home. We see that he's living out of his car. Though this situation is nothing compared to his lifestyle in Japan, Logan is more content here. Spending each night in his car alongside Dog while staring at the stars is one of the best times he's spent in a while. We see that he's continued his practice of recording his memories and everything that happens each day, so that he has something to go on in case he loses his memory again in the future. The next day, Logan meets Candice outside her hotel, the Venetian Beach Hotel. She's dressed skimpily in a one-piece. As they drive to the first photo shoot, she tries to ask Logan personal questions about his life and why there's a mattress in his car. Logan tries to focus on the road while avoiding all personal questions. The first photo shoot gives Logan a glimpse into Candice's lifestyle. He realizes that she does racy photo shoots, but he's no one to judge. He's done far more deplorable things for survival, and frankly, it's Candice's life and her choice. And we then see her treat Logan to a lavish lunch in Beechwood. It is frankly one of the best lunches Logan has had in a while. They even manage to bring back some food for Doug, and when they travel to the next destination in Malibu, they're naturally stuck in traffic for 3 hours. Candice tells Logan all about her life during this time, and though Logan is skeptical about her childhood stories, he can't help but be attracted to her. After a long while, he's felt so good around a woman who doesn't mind taking matters into her own hands. They then reach their next destination, and Logan finds it odd when the security guy locks the entrance gate behind them. Even more odd is the fact that everyone in the estate refers to her as Katie. Candice asks Logan not to worry, as the guy she's meeting is a long-time friend, Frankie. She asks Logan to trust her, and Candice then goes off to work. As evening arises, Logan hears Candice screaming using his heightened sense of hearing and immediately runs towards the mansion. Although he's stopped by 2 guards, he manages to maintain his cover by smashing their heads together without the need to draw his claws. He then rushes toward the room from where he can hear Candice, but soon spots a bodyguard standing watch. Logan rushes forward and knocks the guard out with a single punch, and when he looks inside the room, he sees Frankie trying to rape Candice. He lifts the man up and throws him away from her when he's suddenly shot in the back by one of Frankie's men. Candice desperately begs for Jake, aka Logan, to not intervene, but it's already too late. Logan has gone into one of his rages, and he unsheathes his claws and makes quick work of the gun-wielding goon. Despite being shot multiple times, Logan grabs Candy and heads out of the place as though the bullets barely affected him. As they drive out of the compound, the entrance security guard shoots at them, which breaks the pickup truck's windshield, but thankfully neither of them gets hurt as Logan smashes through the entrance gate. They then speed away, and Logan tries to avoid every question Candice throws his way. Who is he? How come he has claws? How does he expect to heal from bullet wounds without going to the hospital? Candice is quite mad, but Logan tells her that she needs to focus on herself. She'd hired him to protect her, and he'd done his job. Candice gets the signal. She thanks him and refrains from asking any more questions that might invade his privacy. He wants her to forget what she saw today and simply carry on with her life. Anyway, she's traveling back to London tomorrow morning. Once they reach back to her hotel, Logan escorts her to her room because she's scared. Frankie is supposedly a big deal in Los Angeles, and the man Logan killed was a close friend of Frankie. Once they reach her room, Candice tries to hook up with Logan, but he politely refuses, even though he'd like to have spent time with her. His instincts, however, are telling him to leave ASAP and go back, and by the time Logan gets out of the room, he knows something is wrong. With every step he takes, for some reason, his pace quickens, and once he reaches his pickup truck, Logan realizes why his instincts were screaming at him to get back as soon as possible. Logan screams a feral cry, because in front of him lies the body of his dead dog in a pool of its own blood. Wolverine MAX the Protector, Chapter 2. Candice, or Katie. Logan wants to scream. He wants to kill everything in sight, but since Japan, he's learned to control his anger better. He knows that even though he wants revenge, right now it's all about her, all about Dog. Logan grabs Dog's body and lifts her up gently. He then walks into the back of his truck and places her down. Dog didn't deserve this. She led a peaceful and simple life, the life Logan has always wanted. Yet his actions have now cost Dog her life. Frankie slit her throat, and he's gonna pay for it. He then heads into the hotel, and Candice tries to play coy. She thinks Logan is back to spend the night with her, but that's not the case. When she opens the door slightly, Logan forces his way inside, forcing Candy to use her mace on him. She's had her fair share of rapists for today, but then Logan explains that's not why he's here. He's here because he wants to know everything Candice knows about Frankie. Candice thinks Logan is jealous, but he then tells her about Dog's death and how Frankie slit her throat. Candice apologizes for his loss, and Logan then holds her in his arms and tells her that Frankie could come for her next. They need to get out of this hotel, and they need to leave pronto. He doesn't know how Frankie and his men managed to track them because he's sure that they weren't followed, which makes Frankie all the more dangerous for them. While in his arms, Candice tries to seduce him, asks him to relax, but Logan lets go of her and she falls on the bed seductively. Her behavior is odd, yet Logan is too focused on keeping her safe. He orders her to get dressed because he'll be back for her once he's buried Dog. Candice then says that if he wants to know her secrets, then she needs to know his. She wants to know about his claws. Logan changes the subject and is about to leave when Candice quickly puts on her clothes and decides to accompany him. She's been through her share of heartbreaks and knows that Logan shouldn't go through this ordeal alone. She follows Logan to his pickup truck and the two get in and leave. Candice is now heartbroken as she can barely bring herself to look at Dog. Logan then tries to scare her by telling her that if he's to protect her, then she needs to tell him everything. When Candice tries to dodge his questions, Logan suddenly halts the truck and looks her directly in the face. He then lays it out for her, because if she can't help him, he can't help her. Candice sighs and tells Logan that she's known Frankie for 11 years. He helped her break into the porn industry, and the only reason he tried to rape her today was because she was about to join some other production company. She was tired of honoring their arrangement. Logan still doesn't drive. He looks forward toward the road menacingly and asks for the rest of the story. He wants to know why does a porn producer need a fortress that's guarded by heavily armed men. Candice sighs and promises to tell Logan everything once he starts driving and stops creating a scene. Candice goes on to tell him that Frankie is a porn producer, distributor, and most of all, a drug dealer. She doesn't know much about his operations, only the fact that he's involved with the Mexican drug cartels. Logan then asks her how many men protect Frankie, and she tells him 5 or 6. She then asks Logan about his secrets now that she's revealed hers. She wants to know what the blades in his arms are. Logan tells her everything he knows so far about them. He knows they're claws, that they're linked to his anger and come out when he's angry, and that he doesn't remember if he was born with them or decided to get them later on in his life. They then reach the place where Logan wants to bury Dog. It's one of her favorite spots, high in the hills near the Hollywood sign. Logan carries Dog further away from the highway, digs the grave with his bare hands, and then buries Dog and says his final goodbye. But as he's walking back to the pickup truck, he can hear voices coming from it, and he instantly knows this is not good. He quickens his pace, but soon realizes that it's already too late. Candice is being coaxed into a car at gunpoint by one of Frankie's thugs, while the other one is pointing a gun at him. The other guy shoots Logan near the heart, and before Logan can react, the two have gotten in the car and left the place. Logan then drives into the valley below, and all this while, he's been wondering how he was tracked. He then searches his car and finds a GPS tracker. Well, if there's one tracker, there's bound to be more, and he doesn't have the time to search his car from head to toe. Logan decides to use the $200 Candice paid him for his services to reach Malibu using a taxi. The fare is almost the entire amount, and this day has gone from bad to worse in an instant. When Logan reaches the compound, he uses his claws to slice through the front gate's lock and then the initial guard posted outside. Logan first slices the man's hand off, and then his face into 3 different parts. His eyes and parts of his skull lie on the ground as Logan barges inside without facing any other obstacles. Well, that's until he reaches the front door, which is guarded by at least 50 men with automatic pistols, Uzis, and other rifles in hand. Frankie then orders his men to hold their fire because he likes the balls on Logan. He thinks Logan is stupid to have walked back in here unarmed again, but nonetheless, he has some big balls. Logan tells Frankie that he's going to die tonight. The porn producer laughs his heart out. He then heads back inside and orders his men to take care of Logan. Logan knows what's gonna happen now. This isn't the first time he's been through it. All the men open fire on Logan, and he's peppered with hundreds of bullets within seconds. His skin, muscles, tendons, and bones soon give way as Logan falls to the ground, slowly losing consciousness. Though this might kill him, Logan knows he'll wake up soon enough. Once the men are done, Frankie walks out again and empties his own gun's magazine in Logan's body for good measure. Before Logan passes out, he hears Frankie order his men to throw him out of the compound while he stands there with Candice, aka Katie, in his arms. His last words to Katie are, "Great wake, baby," and this only thickens this plot further. Wolverine MAX, The Protector. Chapter 3, Survivors. Rarely people know the pain it takes to heal, but Logan has been through it so many times that now he has a plan, a method, a way to put himself back together when he's been blown to pieces beyond measure. After being brought to the brink of death by Frankie and his men, Logan is now healing, and he starts his healing by remembering the good, his nice memories. And right now, he's remembering his time with Dog. His love for her and her loyalty to him were some of the purest things he'd ever felt in his otherwise struggling life. How, when he met her, how, when she shook his hands and licked his face, were some of the best moments in his life. And Logan knows he needs to hang on to these forever, use them to his advantage when his brain starts to piece itself together after being injured. He uses such memories, these memories as inspiration, as a way to remind himself of how simple and perfect life can be when things are just right. But by now, Logan has learned to remember the bad too, as his brain starts to heal itself, which is why the next memory he remembers is when he buried Dog, how he hugged her body close to himself and wept before finally burying her in her favorite spot. How, when he was lobotomized and barely conscious, he could see Candice, aka Katie, in Frankie's arms, both of them smiling down at him, seemingly believing that they'd killed him. He uses these moments of betrayal, such moments of loss, to motivate himself, to remind himself that there is truly no trust or justice in life, that there is one thing, and that one thing is what he was born for, to fight, and fight he will as he continues to heal. And as Logan continues to heal, he seemingly starts to get back his powers. First, he regains his superior sense of direction. It's dark, and yet he can feel himself moving at a fast speed. No doubt he's in the trunk of a car. Next comes his superior sense of smell. He smells cigar smoke and the distinct body odor of two men. It's clear, two of Frankie's men have been tasked to dispose of his body. And then comes his superior hearing, and he begins to hear the two men arguing about where they're supposed to dispose of his body, how the two of them argue what they'll have for dinner once they're done with Logan. One of the men grabs a shovel while the other grabs a pickaxe, and the two of them slowly head to the back of the car. But by now, they have no idea what awaits them, the wrath of Wolverine. Logan by now has completely healed, and he can't help but growl like an animal in anger from the car's trunk. This surprises and startles the two men, who slowly but carefully open the trunk. The sight that beholds them is not only surprising, but downright terrifying. Logan leaps out of the trunk with crazed eyes, driven by bloodlust as he slices the bigger one of the men to pieces. The second smaller man falls down in horror as he begs for his life by saying that he has a son. Such things never affect Logan, who tells the man that he wishes his son has a stepdad who's a better influence on him in the future, and this terrifies the man to his core, because now he knows the fate that awaits him. Logan then slices the man's torso, and then thrusts his claws directly in his neck, which seals his fate and sends him to hell. Logan is far from satisfied. He's still hungrier than a construction worker after a grueling day's work. These men have only acted as appetizers for his appetite for blood, but Logan knows how to satisfy himself. He knows who's going to be the main course, Frankie and Candice/Katie. When Logan opens the car's doors, he finds two M16 rifles inside, fully loaded and ready for action. And though Logan loves using his claws, he doesn't mind making life a tad bit easier for himself by using the guns instead. He puts them in the passenger seat and drives away. After a mile or two, Logan realizes he's around half an hour away from Malibu, yet he can't head there straight away. He'll have to zigzag and take the back roads to avoid cops, because if he gets caught, the guns and the blood on his clothes will be harder to explain than facing Frankie on his own. Not to mention, his past in Japan could also be unearthed. By midnight, Logan manages to reach Frankie's fortress without a hitch. The front gate guard even lets him drive inside without any issues, thinking that his friends are returning after burying Logan. Logan makes a mental note to be back to take care of the front gate guard, before parking outside the mansion's entrance and getting out with both rifles in each hand. Logan could have made a less dramatic entrance this time, but that frankly isn't his style. He enters the mansion guns blazing and starts mowing down anyone he can see. Men fall like weeds to a weed whacker as Logan plows through them with his guns with ease. Though the guns aren't as satisfying as using his claws, he's reserving the use of them for his main course, Frankie and Candice, aka Katie. He continues climbing the stairs as he smells and hears the mood change around the mansion. The news of the man they killed hours ago, who's now back as an unstoppable ghost, is now spreading like wildfire throughout the mansion. Every man he now encounters is terrified, and he can hear the others desperately run through alternate routes in an attempt to avoid him and try and escape. Logan continues shooting down men as we see a lot of them escape using any vehicle they can find, and then once Logan reaches the top floor, he can finally smell his prey. Despite the smell of gunpowder, body odor, and blood surrounding him, Logan can smell her perfume. The scent that once felt too good to be true now almost makes him belch because it's now associated with betrayal. Logan breaks a door down, shoots another 2 men, and then can smell Candice, aka Katie, in the bathroom. He's reached his destination. He opens the door, but to his surprise, Candice meets him as though greeting an old friend. Logan knows this is just another one of her mind games, and he isn't about to fall for her traps this time. She's awfully calm and awfully right about everything she says. She knows Logan enjoys killing at his core, and that he's been doing this for a long time. She knows that he is Wolverine, and Frankie knows this too, and though he's supposed to be dead for decades, Wolverine never truly dies. She then stares directly into Logan's eyes and goes on to tell him that she knows that if Logan is Wolverine, then he's been playing at this gig for far too long. He has too many personas that keep piling on top of each other, making it difficult to even remember who he is. Logan hates it, hates how right she is. But this won't stop him from attacking her. He draws his claws and pins Candice against the wall as he tells her that her end is near. She then calmly tells him that no matter what he may believe, the truth is that she isn't in cahoots with Frankie. She had no idea he would kill Dog. She liked Dog a lot, and she told Logan the truth when she told him that she was too depressed by her death. She never knew Frankie would use her to lure Logan to her, yet she was pleasantly surprised and flattered when Logan barged in and took on an army for her. But flattery won't work this time. Logan tells her that the only way she's going to get out of this is by leading him to Frankie. He can hear voices on the roof and can smell Frankie slipping away from his grasp. He drags Candice out of the bathroom, who helps lead Logan upstairs to the roof by pointing him in the correct direction to the nearest stairwell. Logan breaks through the roof door and spots Frankie trying to escape in a helicopter, but Logan has faced much more than helicopters back in his day, and this is going to be a piece of cake. Logan leaps for Frankie, who prays to the Lord when he sees Wolverine headed straight for him. Logan stabs his claws through Frankie's thigh and pulls him outside, but not before stabbing the pilot in his side through the metal door. As Frankie and Logan fall to the roof, the pilot loses control, and wouldn't you know it, the helicopter erupts with a loud explosion that sends shockwaves for miles. Logan then stabs Frankie through his other thigh, while the drug dealer and porn producer desperately tries to make amends by offering to buy Logan an entire pack of dogs, but it's too late. Logan never planned to spare Frankie's life no matter what happened, but spares himself the guilt and lets gravity do the work instead. He throws Frankie off of the roof to his death in the burning debris of the helicopter below. He then turns his attention toward Candice and is surprised that she never took this opportunity to run away. Candice seems calm for someone who's moments away from dying. She simply asks Logan what it's going to be. Is it death for her or not? Logan contemplates for a while, but then decides not to kill her. At least not now. He'll kill her at the perfect moment. The two of them climb downstairs, where Logan offers her his jacket because she's wearing nothing but a nightgown. The two then get on a bike and make their escape before the cops show up. Candice holds on to Logan like a kid, as we see her slowly shed a few tears, unbeknownst to Logan. We then see where Logan was driving them off to. He's brought them back to his pickup truck, and even Candice is surprised by this decision. She thinks that they're going to get away in the truck, but Logan tells her that he has one and only one plan for her: death. Candice laughs hysterically and then tells Logan to get on with it, because death will be too nice a fate for her than the life she's lived. She then breaks down, falls to her knees, and spills everything for Logan. Candice was sexually abused by her father since she was 12 years old. At the age of 14, she ran away from home and did anything she could to survive on the streets. This also included sexual favors. Frankie, who seemed like the worst thing that happened to her till now, was a godsend angel for her because he gave her the big break in her life by allowing her to become a star in the porn industry, and he, in return, only had to be his virtual sex slave. She weeps uncontrollably while opening up to Logan, who realizes the reason his instincts would go haywire whenever encountering Candice, aka Katie, is because she is like him, a survivor, one who has to live with their horrid lives and hasn't yet been granted the sweet release of death. Logan sighs as he realizes the more cruel fate for her is to let Candice live rather than kill her. He leaves her but takes his jacket, asks her to go back to London and turn around her life, because if they meet again, he doesn't plan on being this kind to her. Logan then looks in the back of his truck as he contemplates the choice he just made. He then spots a handwritten note in the back of his truck, a note that was placed there recently, and it says, "You'll find what you want in Vegas, Mr. Wolverine." Logan doesn't know if this is from a friend or foe, if this note is a trap or not, but it's the only lead he has, which is why Logan decides to set off for Las Vegas. Logan rides away on the bike, leaving the truck to Candice so that she has a place to stay and move around in case she decides to ditch London. The last panel shows us Logan riding away on his bike through the desert, headed for Las Vegas. Wolverine MAX, Long Read, Part 1. The Cost of Being Nice. Logan is still on his bike. He has wind flowing through the air with the musty air of the desert overwhelming his senses. The road seems endless, and it awfully reminds him of his life. He doesn't know where it started, nor where it will end. At least there's no end in sight for now. Logan continues to speed across the highway, alone with no sign of civilization in sight. Finally, he spots a sign stating that Las Vegas is just 98 miles away, but this is when his luck runs out. He gets a flat tire, and though his own body can mend itself, sadly, a flat tire isn't something Logan can fix on his own. He doesn't even know how far the next town is, and there's no choice left but to ask cars passing by for a lift. A large black SUV whizzes past him without even slowing down, and this makes Logan wonder if leaving Candice back in Los Angeles was actually a good idea. She would have been able to make tons of cars stop by now. But then, finally, a large grey van slows down for him, and it's owned by a shifty-looking dude named Sean, and plastered across the van are the words, Sean's Plumbing. Sean says that the nearest gas station is 12 miles away, but doesn't open till morning. And the next large town is 60 miles away, but it's the same story. That too doesn't open till morning. Logan seems disheartened when Sean offers to drop him off at the next town, where he should be able to find decent food and a motel to spend the night. He even offers to load up Logan's bike in his van so that he won't have to come back for it once it's morning. And this is what throws Logan off. No human is this nice, and they usually want something in return. But right now, Logan needs any and every help he can get. He loads up his bike in Sean's van, and they spend the rest of their journey with Sean trying to figure out who Logan actually is. Logan tells him that he's Rick, but Sean is insistent that he's seen Logan in a street fighting ring. Once they reach the nearby town, Sean shows his true colors. He wants $100 in return for his help, and if Logan can't pay up, Sean will take his bike instead. Logan knew this was coming, and it's relatively easy for him to escape Sean's clutches once he threatens him. Logan walks into a diner next once Sean has left and orders 3 burgers for himself. He's been starving, but his gut tells him that dinner tonight won't be without entertainment. And he's right, because the next second we see 3 drunk goons walk into the diner with a switchblade in hand, itching for trouble. They try to mug an old man trying to enjoy his soup when Logan is forced to step in. Logan is desperately trying not to blow his cover. He'd managed to not draw his claws when Sean had threatened him, and he manages to do the same when one of the goons points a switchblade at him. Logan breaks his fingers with the grip of his right hand and orders them to leave the diner and these people alone. He knew that though he did good, he'd attracted attention to himself. He decides to take his burgers to go and leaves the diner in a hurry. The waitress and the old man try to thank him as he leaves, but Logan is too busy with his own thoughts. Logan knew he was mere seconds away from drawing his claws at the diner. They were itching to come out, and he could feel his flesh tear on the inside as he desperately tried to prevent a bloodbath. He gets a room for the night at a nearby motel, devours his burgers hungrily, and then lies on the bed wondering if Las Vegas will actually hold the answers that he's been looking for. But the next morning, it seems, fate has something different planned for him. The entire town is closed because everyone's at church, and it's not until later in the day that Logan manages to get his flat tire fixed. Finally, as dusk nears, Logan is able to drive off toward Vegas, leaving this town in the middle of nowhere behind him. Logan is on the road, riding his bike peacefully, but as night nears, his suspicions of being followed are confirmed. He can spot 2 distinct headlights in the distance that have been at a safe distance from him since he left the town. Could it be the 3 kids he beat up last night? But why would they wait an entire day before confronting Logan? Could it be Sean the plumber? But he seemed too skittish to try something like this. Logan has had enough. He likes to be the follower. He likes to be the predator and not the prey. He decides to brake and stop, but whoever is in the car is smarter. They stop at a safe distance ahead from Logan, and before Logan can get off his bike and approach the car, it drives off. Logan then decides to keep going and overtake the car, but it continues following him at a safe distance. This is it. Logan has had enough. He slows down, punches the passenger door of the car, and due to this commotion, the car runs itself off the road, tumbles through the air, and lands with a huge crash on a pile of rocks. Shit, this isn't what Logan wanted to do. He rushes toward the crash, breaks open the door using his claws and rescues the man inside before the gasoline spreads everywhere. It's the old man from the diner, the one Logan saved. Why was he following Logan? Well, no time to wonder now. He picks up the old man and walks to a safe distance as the car explodes in the background. He then checks the man's pockets and finds an ID addressed to one Vincent Briscoe. Whoever this old man is, he needs medical attention, otherwise he'd bleed out on the road. Logan picks him up, puts him on his shoulders and rides off toward the town he left again. Was it correct for him to save this man's life twice? Will it be worth it? Or has Logan's conscience gotten him into some more unanticipated trouble? Logan struggles with all these questions when the old man suddenly stirs to life. He doesn't want to go to hospital, and he's awfully cryptic. But when he says he knows about Logan's healing factor, the Wolverine knows that this is someone from his past. Someone that could be a friend or a foe, but he doesn't know that yet. Logan's gut tells him that saving this guy, and that too twice, was a huge mistake on his part. He brings his bike to a halt, holds the man by the collar, and demands answers. The man laughs. He isn't surprised because Logan has always had a short fuse, and when Logan hears the man say his name out loud, his eyes widen with horror as Logan realizes that the man knows a lot more than he's letting on. Wolverine MAX Long Read, Part 2. Logan Before Claws. Before we get into the story, just a reminder to our avid viewers that Part 2 of this story arc is just a filler storyline to conclude the Old Man's arc before Logan can get on the road again. This is why we'll be skimming through this story at a faster pace than usual. Well, now that you're all caught up, let's dive into it. The mysterious old man and Logan are whizzing through the night in the back streets of nowhere, and the old man is holding his cards close to his chest. He refuses to tell Logan anything until they reach his place, which is an old abandoned house in an abandoned town with no facilities. As soon as Logan enters the place, he can smell a dead body inside it. Logan knows that the old man is up to no good, and when the old man tries to blackmail Logan for money, Logan demands answers. He wants to know how the old man knows him, what he knows about his past, and why he's demanding money from him. The old man, after much coaxing and a tense face-off that involved a gun pointed at Logan, finally gives in and tells Logan his life story, how he used to be an FBI agent who was tasked with apprehending Logan. It was the old man's first job once he was out of Quantico, and his real name is Bobby Fregosi. Bobby Fregosi was tailing Logan for weeks, but Logan always managed to be a step ahead of him and the FBI, even 40 years ago. Despite them tailing him for weeks, the FBI and Bobby knew Logan was up to something, but he managed to slip out of their grasp the moment they let their guards down. Logan managed to slip out of the bathroom of his regular pub. Before the FBI could find him, it was already too late. Logan had slaughtered Joey Santoro and 3 of his known associates. It was a massacre, and though the FBI had overlooked his previous crime because of his modus operandi, they couldn't overlook this one because of the huge media coverage. You see, Logan's MO was always to kill and slaughter killers, people like him, bad people, gangsters, serial killers, rapists, and murderers. And though previous management could overlook such things because they worked in their favor, the recent change in the head of the FBI meant that Logan's capture was supposed to be his claim to fame. Sadly, that was all gone with the death of Joey Santoro and his associates. In order to avoid humiliation of having lost Logan again, the FBI had to frame the murders as an internal mob conflict. This is when Logan stops modern-day Bobby from proceeding with the story. He wants to know why Logan didn't use his claws in this killing, and Logan goes on to tell him that he didn't have claws back then. Nobody knows how Logan got his claws. A decade later, Logan vanished for a good 20 to 30 years, and then rumors began to circulate of the Wolverine being back, now armed with unbreakable claws. Bobby then screams at Logan to see that he's responsible for what he's become, which is why he owes him money. It was Logan who was supposed to be his first big case, yet him slipping away led to his untimely downfall. He was taken out of the field for a year by the FBI, and when he returned, he was a changed man. He was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and soon, when he failed a drug test, he was kicked out of the FBI. His wife and kids soon left him afterward, and within months he was broke and on the street. He then gathered a few of his drug addict friends and formed a gang that would frequently loot banks around the country. Because of his training with the FBI, Bobby and his crew were always one step ahead of the Bureau, but good things only last for so long. After years of looting banks in the 80s and enjoying the entire decade partying, they were soon captured by the FBI in the early 90s and sentenced for life. And while life was hell for his friends in prison, it was much worse for Bobby because he was a former federal agent. He'd get beat up by inmates each morning and each night, and he spent most of his days praying for death. And then, when he finally managed to escape prison a month ago, who did he run into? Logan. He might not believe in God, but Bobby believes this was fate. The man who was responsible for his downfall suddenly comes into his life out of nowhere a month after his escape. Logan holds Bobby up in the air by his throat, but then he sniffs something, hears something, and without a second thought runs out of the house with Bobby in his tow. The two of them jack a nearby car and barely manage to escape before the police arrive at the scene. Bobby realizes that he was right about Logan, right about his heightened senses. He now knows why Logan was always a step ahead from the FBI, and proposes that they should now work together. With Logan's abilities, his brawn, and Bobby's brain, they'll be a formidable force to reckon with. Logan stays quiet and leads Bobby into the desert where he asks the former FBI agent to step out. It's clear Logan is going to murder Bobby, but before Bobby can fire more than a shot, the deed is done. He slices and dices Bobby up like a chicken and leaves him and his dismembered body out in the middle of nowhere for the coyotes to take care of. He then heads back toward the main road and starts walking. By morning, no one has passed by him when he suddenly hears a van approaching in the distance. Wouldn't you know it, it's none other than Sean the plumber. Sean smiles a vicious smile as he offers Logan a lift, this time directly to Vegas. Logan gets in, and the two of them drive off toward Vegas with Logan completely unaware of what awaits him or what he's supposed to look for in the city of second chances. Wolverine MAX, Extreme Logan, Part 1, Mind Games. It's been a month, and Logan hasn't exactly been living the lifestyle you'd expect in Las Vegas. He's 5 miles away from the Vegas Strip, and this isn't exactly the most fun part of Vegas. He's in a dilapidated trailer park, full of the homeless, former convicts, the struggling, and the criminal kind. To survive, Logan now fights illegal cage matches, and it's the only way he's found of making money in Vegas without drawing too much attention to himself. Today, he's fighting someone named The Machine, a man who's clearly out of his weight class. He's taller and heavier than Logan, yet unsurprisingly, Logan is able to hold his own with ease. Logan is currently playing defensively, trying to block every punch and kick The Machine throws his way. It turns out that Sean the plumber, who helped Logan get to Vegas, introduced him to the extreme fighting illegal ring. Logan earns $100 per fight, and with 5 fights a week, he's able to easily keep himself afloat. Sean now acts as his manager and even helped Logan choose his fighting name, Little Rick. Sean, on the surface, seems to be helping Logan as we watch him cheer on for him from the sidelines, yet Logan knows better. He knows that the man is only looking out for himself, hoping that Logan gets big and famous so that he can capitalize on Logan's success and earn big bucks. Logan, on the other hand, is only using this fighting ring as a way to earn money. If he becomes one of the short novice fighters who's undefeated in Las Vegas, then it will surely attract the right kind of attention, which is why Logan often has to throw his fights deliberately. We then see Logan get punched in the face by the Machine, while we see Logan explain to us his most innate struggle, the struggle to keep his claws sheathed. The more angry he gets, the more they want to come out and slice out his foe. This is why Logan struggles desperately in each fight while trying to put up a facade. The Machine now seems to be getting the better of Logan, and it seems this is one of the fights Logan plans to throw away. The Machine calls Logan a midget man and throws a vicious haymaker Logan's way, but Logan dodges it, and turns out Logan doesn't need to throw this fight. He lost the last one, which is why he quickly dodges the haymaker and counters it with a punch of his own that connects directly with the Machine's face. This breaks the Machine's nose, and Logan then uses a flying kick to send his opponent sprawling onto the ground below. This style of fighting, this style of mixed martial arts inspired by Asian techniques, comes to Logan naturally. His body seems to automatically respond, and Logan doesn't fight it. Maybe he trained in this style during his stay in Japan 150 years ago, or maybe it was even before that. Logan doesn't remember, but he's thankful for all the skills his body has learned over the years since he was born. The kick is enough to knock the Machine out, and Logan is soon declared the winner of this fight. But the real victory for Logan is to have once again managed to keep his claws sheathed. He knows they were only seconds away from popping out, and he's glad that he was able to hold his own and finish the fight with that last kick. We then see Sean hype up Logan and offer him some fighting advice while they walk back to the trailer. Sean, like others, can clearly see when Logan is deliberately holding back, missing punches and losing on purpose, yet he believes this is just Logan, aka Rick, being naive because of his lack of experience. He wants to offer his help to help Rick be the best, but like every time, Logan ignores Sean. Suddenly, Logan turns around because a beautiful woman catches his eye. She seems to be waiting there for Logan, and Sean jokes that little Ricky's gonna get laid tonight. The woman indeed seems out of place for such a neighborhood, but she's impressed by Logan as she compliments him on his performance today. She then begins to use mystical and spiritual terms like aura to describe Logan, to say that his aura is something out of this world, and despite being put off, Logan can't help but be attracted to her. He knows better through his experiences. He knows he might regret this, but he's somehow drawn to the woman. Sean leaves the two of them alone, and the woman invites Logan over for a beer. She knows Logan is a beer man, and Logan jokes that her psychic powers are really something. She chuckles and says that this was just astute observation. A man who fights in a cage isn't exactly bound to be the martini type. Logan can't help but laugh. The woman is smart, mysterious, and exceptionally hot. When Logan asks if they're heading toward a bar, the woman smiles a mischievous smile and leads him to her trailer. Logan follows her inside, and the two of them soon hook up. Been long since Logan felt such raw passion, such raw attraction towards someone. And although Logan suspects the worst, in his mind he reasons that maybe the woman just wants to hook up with him. After all, he is a ripped and famous cage fighter, and word is bound to get around. Once they're done, the woman goes on to tell Little Rick that she was right about his body. With his animalistic style of fighting, she knew Logan was bound to dominate her to satisfaction once they hooked up. This was a dream of hers, and it's finally come true. Logan stares at her and smiles, which is when he spots a large black stone around her neck. He finds it odd, and though she's saying that he's the dominating one, he can't help but feel like he's being dominated by her. He changes the subject and asks for a beer. The woman laughs and says that she didn't forget about it. She walks over to her fridge and gets a beer for him. Out of nowhere, Logan tells her that Little Rick is just his fighting name. His real name is Logan. This not only surprises the woman, but also Logan, who knows he shouldn't have blurted that out loud, yet somehow it felt right. She then asks if Logan is a first name or a last name, and Logan says that he doesn't remember. She finds the mysteriousness surrounding Logan to be quite sexy, and the two of them cuddle as they drink their beer. She then asks Logan if there's something else he isn't telling her, and Logan tries to act coy. But she is a woman. She can sense when a man is hiding things from her, and this is what throws Logan off. Logan has never liked it when people try to poke and prod at his personal life, and this time is no different. Logan gets up from the bed and starts wearing his clothes while he gets ready to leave. The woman knows she's turned off Logan, and she tries to rectify her mistake by apologizing. She says that she didn't mean to say that Logan was lying, just the fact that he wasn't telling her the entire truth. She tells him that she's from New Jersey, and this is her upbringing. She's always said what's on her mind, and she knows that often puts off people like Logan. She then holds him by the shoulder and whispers in his ear, requesting him to stay. She too feels the same primal and raw attraction Logan feels toward her, and she wants him to stay. Logan stares into the distance for a while as he struggles against his instincts. He knows this won't lead to anything fruitful, yet he can't deny what his heart feels. And so, Logan decides to stay back for round 2. Once they're done, the mysterious lady insists on asking Logan one last question despite his protests. She asks him why he came to Vegas, and she lights a cigarette in the dark of the trailer. But before Logan can protest or answer, she lays it all out for him. She knows he's here because of the same reason the rest of them come here, to either transform their lives or to escape their former lives. She knows he has questions about his own life and is looking for answers in Vegas. He's here to find out who he really is, and Logan knows that. Logan stares at her menacingly, but in his mind, he's scared. Scared because of how right she is. She laughs and confesses to Logan that she likes to mess with people's heads. She isn't really a psychic, but a hypnotist. She then points to the large black stone around her neck. It's what she uses to hypnotize people. She then goes on to explain to Logan how hypnotism works, how some people are susceptible to it while others are not. She used to perform on the stage once, which is why she always had a backup. That's how her psychic abilities, if she has any, work. She makes educated guesses or assumptions about people under her hypnosis, and most of the time, she ends up being right. She then looks back at Logan and realizes he isn't feeling good. And she's right, Logan feels terrible. He feels nauseous. The world around him is bending, and he seems to be hallucinating. His thoughts are jumbled, and then there's nothing but black. When he comes back to his senses, he sees the woman staring at him. He asks her what happened, but she's as clueless as him. But in his gut, Logan's instincts tell him that something is wrong. He was at the bed, but now is at the table. He was naked, but now he's dressed. Something is terribly wrong. Logan storms out of the woman's trailer saying that coming here was a mistake and demands her to stay away from him. As he's walking back to Sean's trailer, he realizes something is clearly off. He feels different. He doesn't have memory loss, but something is clearly off with his body. He gets in the trailer and Sean informs him about the next fight he has scheduled for him. Rumor has it that the next opponent is some kind of mutant. Logan couldn't care less. He goes for a shower while his head buzzes as though it's been messed with by an outside force. He wonders what the woman did to him as he steps out of the shower. He then sees Sean looking outside and then spots the machine and his friends here for payback. Logan is itching for a fight since whatever happened back at the lady's trailer and barges outside. The machine, too, is ready for him. And while Sean tries to stop Logan in order to save his energy for tomorrow's fight, it's of no use. Logan rushes forward, ready to draw out his claws, but nothing happens. His claws stay sheathed, and the machine takes advantage of this and punches Logan directly in the face. One of his friends then holds Logan up as the machine continues to punch Logan in the face again and again. Logan, meanwhile, couldn't care less about what's happening to his body. He's more concerned about his mind. He can feel, dream of slicing up these men like chickens in a slaughterhouse. Yet that's all it feels like. A distant dream. Once the men are done with him, Logan pulls himself back up and he knows exactly where he needs to go to find some answers. He holds the note he found in his pickup truck asking him to come to Vegas in his hand, suspecting that it was written by this mysterious woman as he barges into her trailer. He's angry and frustrated. He grabs the woman by her arm and demands answers, demands to know what happens to his claws. The woman, on the other hand, seems unfazed by Logan's rude behavior. She simply asks him to calm down, and all of Logan's anger fades away. He slumps down onto her couch, realizing that something is clearly amiss. He shouldn't have calmed down this easily. She then goes on to tell Logan that he's been doing great so far, and that he isn't the only one with more than one name. Her name is Mother Night. Wolverine MAX Extreme Logan, Part 2, Control. Well, Logan is in big trouble, because since Mother Night asked him to sit down and calm down, Logan has been in a daze, a hypnotic daze where he's at the mercy of all her suggestions. Anything she asks of him, anything she tells him, is only met by one response from Logan's end: "Yes, Mother Night." It's as though our beloved killing machine has been turned into a vegetative slave, and Mother Night has nothing but evil planned for him. The dazed state Logan experienced earlier, the one where he found himself mysteriously sitting on the couch, dressed in his clothes, was the first time Mother Night hypnotized him, and right now, he's in her complete control. She hands him over a passport-sized photo of a man named Max Fisher, and he, and only he, is supposed to be Logan's next target. She orders Logan to use all his power, all his energy, all his rage to murder Max Fisher in cold blood the next time he sees him. Logan complies to her request with the usual phrase, "Yes, Mother Night." She then gives the photo to Logan, asks him to put it in his pocket, and this is when we first see Logan's eyes. They're wide open, his pupils have been fully dilated, and Logan isn't blinking at all. Mother Night, aka Susie, or how Logan will come to know her, then demands to know about Logan's claws. What did he mean by claws? Logan tells her that he has metal claws in his arms, and they come out when he either wants to kill or is extremely angry. Mother Night herself is surprised. How is this possible? How can someone have metal claws in their arms? Logan then confesses to her that his memory is foggy, and that he doesn't know how he got the claws. He goes on to speculate that maybe someone did this to him, or maybe he did this to himself. She then asks him what would compel Logan to take such a step. Why would Logan do this to himself? Logan then gets in touch with his innermost thoughts and tells her that maybe he did this to become a better killer. Mother Night herself is capable of a lot and has seen her fair share of powers in her life. But this, Logan's claws, this is something she'll need to see for herself in order to believe. She orders Logan to show her his claws, and Logan holds his head in his hands. His mind is clearly traumatized by what's happening, but the next second Logan unsheathes his metal claws and holds them mere inches away from her face. She's horrified at first, but soon comes to love them as she realizes Logan can be an exceptional killer with these in his arms. Her eyes then widen in horror as she realizes his real identity. He's Wolverine, the one responsible for killing the drug gang in Los Angeles. She also concludes and understands how Logan can be such an animal in bed. It's because he is the Wolverine. She asks Logan to lower his arms and sheath his claws, and goes on to ask him why he killed the men in Los Angeles. Logan tells her that some men simply deserve to die, and Mother Night can't help but agree with him. She then caresses Logan's bleeding hand and expresses how much she loves this, how much she lusts for power, and how much Logan's claws make her feel turned on. She then goes on to command Logan to be her slave, saying that now Logan's power, all his power, is hers, and Logan complies with the usual phrase, "Yes, Mother Night." She then commands Logan and instructs him that he can no longer use his claws without her permission, that he is now fully under her control, and once she claps her hand, he'll forget that this entire conversation ever happened. She also commands him that he'll no longer feel any anger or suspicion towards her. He'll only feel love for her, the kind of love a child has for his mother. She then counts to 3 and claps her hands, and Logan then comes back to his senses and becomes his regular self again. Logan doesn't understand. How did he get here? When did he come in Susie's trailer? Mother Night, aka Susie, hugs him from behind and tells him that he was in some sort of a fight, and that she's been trying to attend to his wounds, but he won't let her. We then see Logan's mind fill in the gaps with the suggested thoughts as he pieces together what happened. He remembers how he was in a fight with the machine and his friends, and how his claws had failed him. He also remembers how he'd suspected Susie to be responsible for this, but how he was stupid to feel so. He knows Susie is a kind woman, and she can't be the cause of his problems. He then apologizes to Susie in real life, has some ice-cold water, daughter and then leaves the trailer with the promise to see her again soon. Mother Night watches Logan walk away menacingly, knowing all too well that her plan has come to fruition. Logan then goes on and rests in his trailer, but as always, while his body rests, his mind races with different thoughts, and right now, he's riddled with thoughts of his defeat, thoughts of how his claws failed him in the nick of time as he wonders what could be causing this. As he's conflicted by these thoughts, Logan suddenly feels at the end of his knuckles and jolts back up. He stares down at his hands, only to find scars from the places where his claws come out. But how can this be? His claws never unsheathed yesterday, so how come he has scars on his knuckles? And the mystery only deepens when he finds Max Fisher's photo in his pocket. Though he knows the man's name, he's clueless to who he is or what he does. Maybe he's someone from Logan's past, because the only thing Logan knows for sure is that he wants to murder Max Fisher in cold blood. It's morning, and Logan is greeted by Sean when he walks out of his room. Sean has been making him some protein-rich breakfast, but when he looks up, he's surprised to see that Logan is healed completely. Logan told him that he heals fast, but Sean never imagined things would go this fast. He was about to cancel Logan's fight, but now things seem to be back on track. He then goes on to tell Logan that the man he'll be fighting today is a mountain named Gargantua, an agile, 8 feet tall fighter that can kick as well as he punches. Logan acts confident in front of Sean, even though on the inside he knows that last night's failure against the machine has him doubting his abilities. Logan then shows Max Fisher's photo to Sean, and his roommate goes on to tell him that he knows the guy. Fisher is a regular at the fights in the trailer park and a professional gambler. He's also a part of some sort of syndicate, and Sean knows that he lives around a mile away from here. Logan isn't thinking straight because he loses his mind and smacks the breakfast plate against the wall in a fit of rage. He thinks that Sean was the one to put the photograph in his pocket, and he was the one to leave him the note back in Los Angeles. Logan goes on to believe that this has all been orchestrated by Sean to take advantage of him. It's the reason why he offered Logan a lift to Las Vegas. Sean is scared beyond belief, and Logan lets him go only when Sean swears his innocence over the dead body of his 4 daughters. Logan is confused at first, and Sean tells him that he has 4 daughters in different states. Logan believes him, but is still too confused to think clearly. But now, Sean takes a stance. He tells Logan that he can't act like this and snaps in the trailer. Snapping and raging inside the cage is one thing, but now Sean fears for his life. He says that Logan can't stay here anymore, and this forces Logan to apologize, but an apology isn't good enough. Sean then looks up and sighs. He then suggests that Logan should go meet his girl, Susie. Maybe that'll make him take his mind off of things and calm down. And Logan knows Sean is right. Susie is the only one he trusts, and he decides to go pay her a visit. He talks to Susie, aka Mother Night, about the photo of Max Fisher he found in his pocket. Susie acts oblivious and tells Logan that she knows nothing about the man. He confesses to her that he's been experiencing gaps in his recent memory, gaps that are different from what he experiences when trying to remember his past. Mother Night feels Logan might slip away, so she simply tells him to see things as it is. Maybe he's just become a little forgetful, and that doesn't warrant coming up with outlandish conspiracy theories about them. The two then cuddle, and Logan asks Susie how she met Sean in the first place. She tells him that he used to come to her shows. When Logan inquires what shows, she says that she was a showgirl and that Sean would attend her shows. Logan is confused. He remembers asking about Susie's profession last night, but he doesn't think she told him that she was a showgirl. We then see Mother Night climb on top of Logan and dangle the black sapphire locket right in front of his eyes, suggesting that this must be another gap in his memory. Something that he might be experiencing after his out-of-ring fight with the machine. They then make love, and once they're done, Mother Night continues weaving her web of lies. She tells Logan that she isn't like this with everyone, that she usually takes a month or 2 before sleeping with someone. But what she and Logan share isn't something she's experienced before. She finds herself helplessly falling for Logan, but Logan confesses to her that he feels that he's changed, that he feels different, a kind of different he doesn't remember feeling before. Mother Night then suggests that this could be love, how Logan feels love, because it looks like it's been a long time since he fell in love. The two then make love again, but this time Logan is lost in his thoughts. He knows he doesn't remember much, but he remembers Mariko. He remembers the love he felt for her, and this doesn't feel like that. Mother Night continues weaving her web of lies by inviting Logan to New Jersey, asking him to meet her parents. She tells him that she loves everything about him, yet deep down, Logan knows something is off. Something is different. He feels powerless, and this continues when he enters the ring later in the day. Gargantua is beating the living daylights out of Logan. Logan seems powerless, helpless. His body's no longer responding to his commands. His claws aren't itching to unsheathe. It's as though Logan is a puppet and someone else is pulling the strings. Meanwhile, on the outside, Sean is growing frantic by each passing minute as Logan seems to be losing. Once word had spread out that Logan was beaten up by the machine and his friends, the betting stakes had risen drastically. But Sean, after seeing Logan heal so fast, knew he could bet on him. But now, watching Logan lose, Sean knows he's about to lose everything he earned, which is why he's screaming for Logan to do something, anything at all. Sean calls for a timeout, with only a few seconds left in the match. Logan has been struggling with his inner thoughts and has concluded that only Sean is close to him and it's likely that Sean has done something to him. He snaps at Sean during the timeout, but that's when Mother Night, aka Susie, walks in and asks for some alone time with Logan. She then switches to her sultry Mother Night voice and Logan instantly turns into her puppet again. She orders him to win this fight and then go on to kill Max Fisher. Logan complies in his usual phrase, "Yes, Mother Night," and she smiles widely while towering over him. The bell rings and everything goes to black. When Logan comes back to his senses, he's facing Susie, aka Mother Night, who's desperately screaming at him to come back to reality. Logan doesn't remember a thing, and when he looks down, his hands and legs are covered in copious amounts of blood. He asks Susie what happened, and she lies to him, saying that she doesn't know a thing, that he arrived at her trailer out of the blue, covered in blood and wounds. He then tries to remember things and realizes he lost his memory after the timeout. He asks what happened in the fight, and Susie goes on to tell him that he beat the living daylights out of Gargantua and beat him in the fight. She then tells him that Logan left in a hurry after claiming to have some urgent business to attend to. Logan remembers flashes of standing over Gargantua's beaten body, but he doesn't remember the rest, at least not yet. Susie then continues telling him that Logan borrowed Sean's van and left the park. She tells him that Logan seemed to be upset about something, but despite asking him numerous times, he didn't tell her a thing. She then asks where he went, what he'd done, and how did he get all this blood over himself. We then see Logan remember everything in a tint of red. Logan remembers driving to Max Fisher's place. He remembers slicing the man and his wife open and cutting them to pieces using his claws, yet Logan begs for this to be a nightmare, begs for this to end, and that he wants to wake up soon. In the present, Logan walks out of Susie's trailer while she tries to run after him, demanding answers. But Logan doesn't stop. He goes into his trailer, turns on the TV, and his worst nightmare finally comes true. The breaking news shows the murders in Los Angeles. Max Fisher and his wife have been brutally murdered. Suddenly, Sean appears out of nowhere and points a gun straight at Logan's head, ordering him to stay back. Logan ignores Sean and realizes that this nightmare is his reality, and this nightmare is the one he'll never be able to wake up from. Wolverine MAX Extreme Logan Part 3. Unraveling the Web of Lies. Logan continues to watch the news report, but Sean still has the gun pointed to his head. As Logan hears the latest reports, he realizes that the woman with Max Fisher wasn't his wife. He then tries to tell Sean how he feels, that he didn't commit the murders despite no matter how it may seem. Deep down, Logan knows that this effort is futile. He himself knows he was there at Max Fisher's place. The memories of carrying out the deed are too vivid to end up being just another nightmare. Logan's hands and legs are still covered in blood, and he isn't surprised when Sean refuses to believe him. Logan now faces away from Sean as his roommate comes clean. Sean doesn't care who he is, what he is, or what he did. He just wants Logan out of his trailer, and that too, pronto. This is when Logan catches Sean's bluff. The fact that he just demands Logan's departure means that Sean hasn't called the cops yet. And though Logan has managed to decipher this, and though his instincts are trying to tell him something, his mind is too foggy to figure things out. Even though he can't decipher his instincts, it's clear that Sean knows something more than he's telling Logan. Logan hits the gun out of Sean's hand and then confronts him. He tells Sean that if he wanted to shoot Logan, or if he wanted to call the cops, Sean would have done that by now. The fact that Sean was yet to follow through either of those plans makes it apparent to Logan that Sean knows more than he's letting on. He grabs Sean by the throat and then slams him against the ground, demanding answers. Sean tries to act coy at first, and then ends up opening up to Logan. Sean is down on the floor shivering with fear as he tells Logan that he has 3 warrants in 3 different states out for him for not paying his alimony and child support. The last thing Sean wants to do is call the cops. Sean tells him that to add to his warrants that he's harboring Wolverine, he knows he'll be spending the rest of his life behind bars. Logan realizes that this is a setup, that if not Sean, then somebody else has set him up, but Logan knows in his gut that this is a setup. Sean holds his head in his hands and begs for Logan to turn himself in. He begs for Logan to do the right thing because everybody knows he lives here. He practically fights in the cage every night, and it's only a matter of time before the police track him down. Logan then tells Sean that he remembers killing those people, but he doesn't believe that means he committed those murders. These memories could have been planted in his brain. Sean calls him crazy and asks Logan to hear himself, asks him to listen to the outlandish claims he's making just to deny what he's done. Deep down inside, Logan knows how outrageous implanted memories sound, but his gut is still telling him that he didn't want to commit those murders. Logan then reiterates his statement and tells Sean that maybe someone made him do it. Maybe someone was controlling his brain. and that's when Sean screams at him to think about what he's talking about, to think before he speaks. He sympathizes with Logan and goes on to tell him that Logan is in denial. Sean has been through the same, and that none of them, no one in the world wants to face their hideous crimes, let alone accept them. But the correct thing for him to do right now would be to surrender himself, turn himself into the police. This'll make sure he repays his debt to society, while also ensuring that he can't harm anyone else in the future. While sympathizing with Logan, Sean had placed his hand on Logan's arm, but now that he's finished, Logan smacks his arm away. He knows something is wrong. Someone did something to him, because all of this started after his fight with the machine, the moment he was unable to unsheath his claws. Logan tells Sean that he knows it was either him or the machine who did something to him, because it's only after that he found Max Fisher's photograph in his pocket. Sean desperately tries to make Logan see the truth. He tells Logan that he's just like a junkie, another drug addict, blaming any and everyone in the world for his problems but himself. Logan calms down and asks Sean, what is the end game? What does Sean want him to do? Turn himself in? Sean nods his head, and then Logan says that if he's going to jail, then he's taking Sean with him. Sean then lets go of the act and exclaims, "Son of a bitch! You're not supposed to act this way." Logan then knows something is gravely wrong as he watches Sean peep out of the window and then tremble with fear. Logan asks him, what's the problem? What's he looking at? And then Sean tells Logan that he's looking at nothing, and that is the problem. Sean says he should have known yesterday when Logan doubted him, because according to her, Logan is supposed to trust Sean through and through. Sean then starts packing his bags, but when Logan stops him, he asks Logan to get packed quickly so they can leave before the cops arrive. Susie's gone, and they need to leave too before all hell breaks loose. Logan knows something is up, but Sean is currently his only source of answers. So, reluctantly, he packs his stuff and the two of them leave the trailer park in Sean's truck. Logan is still struggling with thoughts in his mind, but one thing is clear to him. Susie is innocent, and she has nothing to do with all of this. Sean starts talking as they hit the road. He curses Susie, calls her a bitch because she double-crossed him, and he should have known better. He goes on to tell Logan that he only likes Susie because she told him to. Logan is her puppet, and everything he's done so far, felt so far, has been all at Susie's command. This is all too much for Logan to take. He tries to run them off the road, but Sean manages to calm him down in the nick of time. Seems to click in Logan's brain. He calms down and lets Sean go, because he's right. He's been experiencing memory gaps since the first day he met Susie. He then tells Logan that he experiences memory gaps and blackouts because Susie is a hypnotist and Logan has been hypnotized by her. She got Logan to kill Max Fisher so that she could keep all his money, because turns out Susie's real name is Susie Fisher. Scarborough is just her maiden name. Logan calms down as he starts putting the pieces of the puzzle together. He then lets Sean continue driving to evade the cops before they get here, while Logan struggles with the thoughts that he's now having. He doesn't know who he should believe anymore. What is the truth and what is a lie? But now that more of his memories are back, he knows for sure that he killed Max Fisher and his girlfriend. And when his claws are out, he's a weapon of mass destruction. Does it really matter if he pulls the trigger or someone else? Because the outcome, well, it's always the same, isn't it? Sean, on the other hand, feels cheated by Susie. He thought she was just hypnotizing Logan to win the fight so that they could both earn some money. But now she's made him Logan's accomplice, and Sean is determined to make her pay. Sean has driven Logan out into a cabin in the woods. The cabin belongs to Susie's uncle, and Sean expects her to show up here after a couple of days. He then plans to torture her till she hands over Max Fisher's entire inheritance to them. Sean opens up a beer and asks Logan to relax and wait. The cabin is a safe place, and they should be able to get more supplies from a nearby store once all of the heat has blown over. But Logan, on the other hand, has other plans in mind. If he's really been hypnotized, if his mind and memories have been really compromised, then there's only one way to fix himself. He pulls out Sean's shotgun from his bag, points underneath his chin, and shoots, blowing his brains out in the process. Sean scrambles around, panicking and coming to terms with what Logan just did. His thoughts of hiding in this place are now blown to smithereens. He can't be found with a rotting body in this place. He scrambles around to erase evidence when he spots Logan stir back to life. Half an hour later, most of Logan's face is healed, and now that his brain has regrown, his memories are no longer hidden from him. He remembers everything, and he knows who's to blame for all this. Susie, aka Mother Night. Once Logan has healed enough, he picks himself up and heads outside. There's only one thing he needs to test out now: his claws. Logan heads toward a large tree, unsheathes his claws, and cuts it clean off right from the base of it. Sean's eyes widen with surprise as he tries to come to terms with what he's just seen. Sean is excited beyond measure. He's already forming plans and ways in which he and Logan can make money together. But Logan, on the other hand, is sick of being used by Sean for his own gain. He confronts Sean, lifts him up in the air, and puts his claws underneath his chin. He then asks Sean to think very carefully before answering this final question. Where is Susie? Sean is sweating and trembling as he says that he honestly doesn't know where she is, but she's likely back at the Fisher estate pretending and playing the role of the grieving widow. Logan then asks for Sean's keys and cell phone and decides to leave. Sean hands them over without hesitation because the man is clearly scared for his life. When Logan reaches the Fisher estate, it's surrounded by tons of cops, and barging in to kill Susie right now won't be a wise decision. He then uses Sean's phone to text Susie that the plan has changed and that she should meet Sean in the train yard behind the trailer park ASAP. At first, Logan is afraid that Susie might not take this bait, but sure enough, after waiting for a couple of hours, Susie shows up in a black car. She's furious at Sean for changing plans, but soon spots Logan sitting in the van. Logan decides to play his cards close to his chest by pretending to still be hypnotized by Susie. He addresses her as Mother Night, and Susie lets him come close to her. But when she asks Logan to surrender, thinking that he's still under her control, Logan reveals the truth, that she no longer controls him. In a desperate attempt, Susie tries to use her crystal again to hypnotize Logan, but he snatches it off of her neck and breaks it into pieces. A horrified Susie then tries to back away, but Logan grabs her and then slits her throat with a single swipe. Considering what the Canadian Chupacabra has done to his previous enemies, this seems to be a merciful death for Susie. He then makes his way back onto the road near the cabin in the woods and spots Sean asking for a lift this time. It's time Logan returned the favor, and Logan runs over Sean with his own car. There's tons of traffic around, but Logan no longer cares as he approaches Sean and drives his blades directly through his former roommate's face. He knows his time is up, and Logan is too fed up to fight back now. He knows someone has called the cops because he sees two bright headlights approaching. It's time Logan stopped fighting and accepted his fate. But surprisingly, the car approaching him wasn't a cop car. It's a limousine. A smartly dressed man then steps out and asks Logan to get in. The man is here to save Logan's life. Logan has little to no choice now. This could be a friend or foe. Either way, if things go bad, the same fate awaits him everywhere, whether he goes with the mysterious man or lets the police catch him. Logan decides to get in the limousine, and we see it hurriedly speed away before the cops get there. Wolverine MAX Extreme Logan, Part 4, Mickey's End. Logan contemplates his life choices as he watches the limousine drive him into the middle of the city. The young man that picked him up is awfully cocky. So much so that he forces Logan to imagine different ways of ending his life. Logan watches as the entire Las Vegas Strip is filled with cops. And if it wasn't for the tinted glasses, Logan is sure that he'd have been recognized by now. Logan insists on knowing where he's being taken, but the young man tells him that every question will be answered in due time. When Logan insists and threatens the kid, the young man simply dangles Logan's past in front of him as leverage and tells Logan to shut the hell up. Logan rages on the inside as he imagines unsheathing his claws and cutting the kid to pieces, and yet somehow he manages to control his anger. Hours ago, he wasn't in control of his body nor mind, thanks to Mother Night. Yet now that he is, he somehow enjoys this control. The kid catches Logan staring at him while he imagines ways to rip the kid apart. When asked why Logan is staring at him, Logan simply smiles and tells the kid that he doesn't know how lucky he is. The kid is a smartass because he scoffs and tells Logan that sure, it's his lucky day. Maybe he should go into a casino and gamble his heart out. If this was any other day or any other place, Logan would have ripped this kid apart right this second. But right now, Logan has too many questions that he needs answered. Too many questions burning on the tip of his tongue. But Logan hates not being in control, hates the fact that he doesn't know where he's being driven to. He gives the kid one last chance to disclose their destination, but the kid simply asks him to stop being a pain in the ass and wait for a while. All of his questions will be answered in due course of time. Logan has had it. He threatens to kill the kid and his driver. After all, he's seen what Logan is capable of. When the driver hears this, he loosens his collar and gulps his fear down, but thankfully his employer, the kid, has an ace up his sleeve. Even if Logan managed to slaughter them right here, right now, he won't be able to get nowhere. They're surrounded by hundreds of cops, and even Logan isn't that stupid to make such a foolish move. Logan looks around and hates that the kid makes a good point. The way he talks, the way he orders Logan around is the same tone in which the note was left for him back in Los Angeles. Maybe this kid left the note, or maybe not, but Logan is now at the brink of his patience, and when people push him this far, he rarely cares about the consequences. He remembers Sean and how the man had pushed him far enough for Logan to murder him right in the middle of the street. But thankfully for the kid, before Logan can act, they reach their destination, the Gold Coast Hotel and Casino. The kid hands Logan a pair of shades and a cowboy hat as his disguise, and the two of them then get out and head inside. Logan wants to know what they're doing here, but in his typical smartass fashion, the kid asks Logan to shut up and wait for all of his questions to be answered. Logan then wonders how he's gone unnoticed so far. Surely there are cameras around. He's definitely spotted a lot of security and undercover cops, yet none of them have approached him so far. He assumes that the kid's father is staying in this place, but the kid ominously replies that his father is always staying in this place. He never leaves. He then tells Logan that his father is Mickey Gold, and Logan knows that this name should ring a bell, but since he lost his memories in the plane crash in Japan, the name now means nothing to him. Logan assumes that Mickey Gold must own the hotel and casino, because it bears the same name. But if that's the case, and Logan once was involved with him, then this can't mean anything good. As they head inside, Logan learns that the kid's name is also Mickey Jr. to be precise. And the kid then goes on to make fun of Logan's lost memory by making him believe that he once was married to a Tunisian woman in the past and had kids with her. He then laughs his heart out as his father makes an appearance and calms Logan down. Mickey Jr. continues laughing as he exits his father's suite, and Mickey Sr. apologizes for his behavior. He tells Logan that though immature, Mickey Jr.'s heart is in the right place. He's a good kid that does whatever he can to achieve his goals. Mickey Sr. greets Logan like an old lost friend and then offers him a cigar, which Logan politely accepts. Mickey Sr. then tells Logan that the last time he saw Mickey Jr. he was in his diapers and was only 2 years old. He then goes on to reassure Logan that he needn't worry because he's finally home. But as Logan smokes his cigar, he feels completely different inside. Him finding his past should feel like discovering light, yet it feels like complete darkness. Cold, empty darkness. As the two of them converse over the next half an hour or so, Logan learns that he originally hails from Canada and that he might have a family remaining there. He also learns that Mickey Sr. has been keeping a close eye on him, watching his every move since he arrived in the USA. Logan wants more answers, but Mickey Sr. asks him to calm down and chill for a while. He's returned after being away for 20 years. And he needs to relax and enjoy life. He then leads Logan to his personal suite, where Logan will be staying. Logan tells Mickey Sr. that he doesn't need to do all this for him just because they used to be friends. But that's when Logan learns the real truth. Him and Mickey Sr. were never friends. Logan was Mickey Sr.'s employee. Logan's eyes widen and his jaw drops as memories of him murdering people in cold blood rush back to him. This was all a mistake. Coming back to Las Vegas, meeting with Mickey Sr., all of this was a big mistake. He realizes that he's now trapped here and will be forced to work for Mickey Sr. again, and he likely fled this place in the first place to avoid doing what he did best, killing people. Mickey Sr., just like Creed, plays mind games with Logan by telling him that he's always been a cold-blooded killer. Logan holds Mickey Sr. by the throat. The casino owner goes on to point that this is just Logan proving his point. One moment, Logan can pretend to be a friend, smoke some cigars, knock back a few drinks, but when it comes to the real world, he's just a monster. A monster that was employed by Mickey Sr. back in the day. When Logan decides to simply leave and never return, Mickey Sr. decides to blackmail him. The DA is in his pocket. The entire police force in Las Vegas is in his pocket. And if Logan doesn't comply, he'll unleash hell upon him. Logan is a wanted criminal in 2 different countries, and either of them are bound to find a way to either kill him or incarcerate him indefinitely, eventually. Logan knows he has no choice but to comply with Mickey Sr.'s demands. Well, at least for now. He asks what he's supposed to do, and Mickey Sr. tells him that he first needs to prove his loyalty. Only then can he work for him, else he'll be thrown into the hands of the police without a second thought. He asks Logan to prepare and get ready. Mickey Jr. will be here soon, and he's the one who will take Logan out for his first job. Later in the night, Logan is dressed up in a smart suit as he meets Mickey Jr. in the hotel lobby. Logan knows one thing for sure, that Mickey Sr. wasn't lying. He's walked past 3 different police officers by now, and none of them have batted an eye to his presence. Mickey Jr. then meets Logan as though he's his age, and then takes him away for his first job in a lavish Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren. According to Mickey Jr., no matter the job they do, they should do it in style. As they drive toward their destination, Mickey Jr. tells Logan that their target is Saquon. When Logan asks why the man needs to be killed, Mickey Jr. loses it and demands Logan to focus on his job of killing targets. He doesn't need to know anything more about them. Logan then tries to reason with Mickey Jr. by saying that he's a good kid with his entire life remaining in front of him. He could leave his dad's empire right now and get a fresh start, something men like Logan have craved all their lives. But Mickey Jr. simply thinks Logan has gone crazy because of his recent memory loss. Logan implores Mickey Jr. to see that this is the last chance Logan will grant him, but Mickey Jr. simply asks him to shut up and focus on the job ahead. They drive to the outskirts of Las Vegas and then approach a seemingly quaint suburban house. They ring the bell and a young woman answers the door. They ask for Saquon, and Logan tries to act calm by telling her that they won't hurt him and she needn't lie to him. He can already smell a man inside. Saquon then approaches from behind with a gun in his hand, while Logan tries to keep a level head. He asks everyone to calm down, but all hell breaks loose when Mickey Jr. decides to point a gun at the young woman's head, ordering Logan to kill Saquon. In instant retaliation, Saquon fires his sidearm at Mickey Jr., but the bullets are stopped by Logan, who steps in the way. Logan then unsheathes his claws, but instead of killing Saquon first, he kills Mickey Jr. and frees the young woman. Though he tried to act morally right, Saquon and the young woman soon open fire at Logan, who now has no choice but to kill the two of them in self-defense. As Logan carries out this deed, his thoughts are yet again jumbled with the everlasting questions of who he is. Maybe no matter how good he tries to be, he'll always be a monster. Sometimes when defending himself, while other times when defending others. But a monster he'll always be. Wolverine MAX Extreme Logan Finale. The end of it all. It's done. Logan has sealed his fate, especially after murdering Mickey Jr. Either the police will get him now, or Mickey Sr.'s men will get to him soon. He then stares at the massacred bodies in front of him and realizes that death or incarceration is too easy of a punishment for him. If he really needs to be punished, then he should be allowed to live with his crimes, his punishments, his regrets, forever. Logan then uses his heightened hearing to listen for any approaching cops. Thankfully, he hears nothing. No sirens in the distance, only a dog barking and a few cars passing by. Logan then plans his escape. He looks for cash in Mickey Jr.'s wallet and finds $400. He also finds an expensive necklace on the young woman, but he has no time to pawn it off. He then heads inside the house. Whatever Saquon did to piss off Mickey Sr., he's bound to have some cash stowed away in his house. Logan rummages through the man's belongings and finds a large bag of drugs worth $50,000. Sadly, like the necklace, he doesn't have any time to deal drugs. Logan then decides to have a bath and wash off the blood on him. He then changes into Saquon's clothes, who thankfully was more or less his size. Dressed in a dapper new outfit, Logan exits the house, but not before picking up Mickey Jr.'s wallet and car keys from his corpse. Logan feels that it's been too long since his luck has run dry, and it's about time he was due some of it. He has a plan, but it's a risky one, but it's the only one he has. Logan gets in the car and struggles with what Creed and Mickey Jr. say about him. Maybe he is a ruthless, remorseless killer. Maybe he is the monster everyone paints him out to be. That's the thing about Logan when it comes to feelings. He never trusted them and never will. We then see Logan use the same move he used with Mother Night. He uses Mickey Jr.'s phone to text his father that the job is done. This should buy him enough time. And although most of Logan's feelings and memories are jumbled and confusing, there's still one that motivates him: his love for Mariko and her love for him. He's never felt something so pure in his life, and he likely never will. Logan then drives back to Mickey Sr.'s casino and hands over the car to the valet, while telling him that Mickey Jr. told him to drop it here, implying that he's gone away on some other business. Logan's idea now is to use the $400 he stole from Mickey Jr. and gamble them in the casino to earn enough money for his getaway. Somehow, gambling comes to him naturally. Maybe he was an expert at it when posing as Mr. Collinsworth or Mr. Grant, because in a matter of an hour, he ends up earning big bucks at the roulette and blackjack tables. Enough money to set him up for a decent getaway. But that's when his luck runs dry, as he sees the casino security approaching him. They guide him into an elevator, as Logan tries to tell them that he works for Mickey Jr. They insist that Logan follow them, and when the elevator doors close, one of the men tranquilizes Logan and knocks him out. When Logan comes to his senses, he's in a private cage inside the casino. Logan knows that bars can't keep him caged away, and he unsheathes his claws and begins slicing at the bars of the cage. He slices once, twice, thrice, but nothing happens. Logan's eyes widen with surprise when he hears Mickey Sr.'s voice, who isn't happy one bit because Logan killed his son. He had this cage specially built to constrain Logan. Logan then demands to know what Mickey Sr. did to his claws, and the casino owner's laughter bellows throughout the empty room. He goes on to tell Logan that he did nothing to Logan's claws. It's the cage that's made from a special material, the same material that lines Logan's claws, the hardest metal on Earth, adamantium. He then tells Logan that he knows he can't kill Logan, but he can starve him for decades to come. Even though Logan's body can regenerate, starving for decades to come is bound to be painful to make Logan suffer for killing Mickey Jr. Logan then wonders that if that's the case, then why is Mickey Sr. here to talk with him in the first place? And it's then that the casino owner answers his question. He opens the door to the cage and tells Logan that he's here to talk with him. Mano a mano. Logan suspects this to be some kind of trick, but when he watches Mickey Sr. lock the door behind him, he thinks that the casino owner is suicidal. But Mickey Sr. then goes on to explain to Logan that it was he who got Logan his claws. It was Mickey Sr. who paid for the procedure. And though he was told to kill Logan once he transformed by Frank Castle, Mickey Sr. still decided to give him a chance. This is now one of the biggest regrets of Mickey Sr., because Logan escaped his services after getting the claws and vanished for decades. Logan's brain jolts to life when he hears the name Frank Castle. Although he doesn't remember the man, he remembers a white skull on a black background, and there's something ominous and scary about it. Mickey Sr. then goes on to explain how he believed in and cared for Logan like a son, and that once he escaped, he was fine with it because he had Mickey Jr. to love. But now that Logan has returned and killed his son as well, it's time for revenge, and Mickey Sr. has prepared for this day. He knew the cage wasn't enough, which is why he went and got adamantium claws himself. Mickey Sr. unsheathes his own claws, faces off against Logan, and then thrusts his entire hand directly through Logan's torso. Logan falls to the ground as Mickey Sr. screams in rage that he wants Logan to feel maximum pain. He continues screaming at Logan as he pins him down using his foot, but then when he bends down to slash at Logan again, he leaves a wide opening which Logan uses to his full advantage. You see, to become Logan, You just don't need adamantium claws, you need his instincts, his heightened senses, his healing factor, but most of all, his hundreds of years of training. With a single move, Logan decapitates Mickey Sr. and then uses his keycard to get out of his cage. And although he faces retaliation at the hands of Mickey Sr.'s men, they don't stand a chance. Logan leaves the casino and runs through the back alleys of Las Vegas until he finally reaches a couple of train tracks. What just happened has only enhanced the feeling of self-doubt and loathing in Logan. Maybe it's finally time that Logan too had his fresh start. Maybe having control isn't enough. Maybe not being indebted to anyone in this world is also a prime requirement. And so, when Logan sees a speeding train approaching him, Logan lays down his arms in its path and lets it drive over them. This horrific impact tears both of Logan's arms clean off of him. But finally, Logan has managed to get rid of some of his pain. Maybe once his arms now grow back, they'll grow back without claws, and he'll finally be a bit more human. Logan then gets up and starts walking away. He now plans to go to Canada to find if any of his family remains. Logan finally has hope that now that he's lost his claws, there'll be no more killing. Maybe now, finally, he can lead a life of peace. Marvelous verdict. Wolverine MAX, written by Jason Starr, is a thorough fan-favorite reimagining of the fan-favorite X-Men. It doesn't shy away from mature concepts, nor does it hold back when it comes to action scenes. It has heart. The concept of love, deception, and most of all, betrayal. The comic takes us through heartbreaking moments and triumphant victories, while ensuring it doesn't shy away from real matters of gaslighting, manipulation, deception, and other such vile concepts. Despite its gritty nature, Logan manages to hold up his own, and despite his questionable actions, comes off as quite a lovable protagonist. You, as the reader, are taken through every internal struggle he faces, every thought of self-doubt that crosses his mind, the constant self-loathing Logan puts himself through, while still somehow finding the power within him to try and make the right decisions. And of course, just like in real life, despite his best efforts, most of the time Logan fails to make things right, and that turns out to be okay, because in the end, Logan's heart and intentions are still in the right place. He ends up trusting the wrong people and ends up following the ones he shouldn't be, while ditching the ones he should. He fails to see when life throws lemons his way and fails to take the chance that could have changed his life. Logan struggles, thrives, and falls down, but keeps getting back up again and again. It's a story of redemption, of revenge, of heartbreak, and of never giving up. Logan, despite his flaws, never fails to inspire the readers. Every panel has been crafted to perfection. The art style of using scribbles to convey chaos accurately lends into the story by showcasing what's going through Logan's mind. Flashbacks are easy to spot, and the action is gory, yet not unnecessarily violent. Just like Logan's intentions, it's just the right amount of violence needed to keep the story moving forward. So, if you've been craving a reimagined Wolverine that caters to all your fan-favorite traits while adding something new to the plot, then you should definitely check out Wolverine MAX in a bookstore near you.